Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Captain Quasar, and welcome back to another unofficial H3 waiting room. We have a few things to talk about today, as always. Just a few, but first we're going to go through some Reddit posts, as well as a funny little video that I saw. It's a little callback to an old, to some simpler times, you know what I mean? Let's go! Exactly. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Already stuttering? That's how you know it's going to be a great stream. But first, let's get to Reddit. I thought this was crazy. My mic's on, right? Okay. I feel like I got to double check every time now. So, Froggy Tonic, the person we want to act like is just a real amazing person, you know. They did nothing wrong. They said this was yesterday. Wow, people are really getting this stuff early. 7 views? Or does it only have 7 views? But he said, or they said, if he stays alive in a few years or a few decades, Ethan may go to or be forced to go to a doctor out of concern for behavioral issues. Memory loss. What? Wait. They will do an MRI on him. They will discuss his medical history, his nutrition, if he had CTEs. I wish I was kidding. You're not kidding. You're just like, I swear this person isn't just like flagrant. They're also just dumb. Why'd they put a comma here instead of just saying and? And then also CTEs. CTE is something that gets evaluated at like at the end of your life. And I don't think they do it to everyone, right? Don't they have to like cut your brain open and check and be like, yup, head trauma. And it's not like concussions. It's literally it's like a gradient where it's like you can have a little bit of CTE or a lot of CTE, but you can't have multiple. I wish I was kidding. And then they decided to add MRI scans for some reason. Typical brain atrophy images. Typical brain atrophy, you say. Dr. Froggy Tonic. Not for real. So someone said Ethan needs to become a benefactor at UC Santa Cruz. That degree is paying off because of one of his more recent Instagram posts about our man Tom Ward, the main man. So he said Tom Ward is the real deal. I guess I should say first that this is in reference to Taylor Lorenz. Did anyone know? I've like heard the name Taylor Lorenz like here and there, but I do not know who she is. I have 2 videos that we could watch. One is about Taylor Lorenz, and the other one is the update on the Ace family. We're gonna kind of like touch on both, but we gotta decide on one. But Taylor Lorenz said, "So sorry you're struggling with that, Tom. I cover online trends and don't think this is any sort of broad-based trend. So apologies if I'm missing context, but I hope you learn that people expressing concern don't hate you. I can't imagine going through the world thinking that people who have expressed kindness or empathy towards me secretly hate me. It must be a very lonely experience. I hope I hope that anyone out there struggling learns to take care of themselves instead of lashing out at others." It's just so I don't understand how all of these people can talk with such high levels of condescension without recognizing it or without being called out on it more. Because just the way, like, literally every sentence in this is just like, the beginning, it sounds fine. Oh, I'm sorry you're struggling. Even the beginning, I'm sorry you're struggling with that. Everything about this just, I just hate it. But Ethan said, Tom Ward is the real deal. He says it like it is. He's true gold. He stands up for his people and always expresses himself honestly. You are gilded with edible gold sheets, and underneath you are corroded and rusted, like an old bucket fished out of a lake. And like a fished out bucket, you carry swamp water full of pond scum. But you're not even a useful bucket. You have holes from the corrosion. You spill disease-ridden, impotable water with every step. Wherever you go is marked by foul-smelling sewage water and slime. When those that you carry water for smell you, they fear people will suspect it's they who stink. And we all conclude, in unison, it's best to put the scum bucket back into the swamp. Truly, it's worthy of an epic. Ethan should write a story. But yeah, there was a kind of a I should have taken screenshots of all the different back and forths that were happening on Ethan's Instagram story, but it was going on for a minute. Again, I do not know who Taylor Lorenz is, but yeah. I also don't know who this person is, but Jay LeRae claims Creator Clash 3 has been postponed to the end of October and that it won't be in Tampa. Wait, was it in June or July? Creator. Let's see if the website's updated. Yeah, it's literally supposed to be exactly 1 month away. They are 1 month away. Okay, yeah, so Jay LeRae is a person fighting. One of the is she number 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the 5th fight on the card. And they still have the two to be determined slots on there. And it says June 28th, 2025. But Jay LeRae, one of the fighters, claims Creator Clash 3 has been postponed to the end of October and that it won't be in Tampa. It being a month away totally means people have already bought tickets, people have already probably maybe even rented out hotel rooms just to make sure that they have the stay in advance. So this is really just a huge flub. And if they don't say anything about it, well, because the whole thing now is Ian and Anissa are just going to be like, well, we're not a part of it anymore. They're not letting us know anything. But regardless, I feel like someone needs to say something, and you're the last person to kind of be in charge. We don't really know. Apparently, isn't Aaron from Game Grumps supposed to be in charge now? We need to hear something from him. Come on, Ego Raptor.
Also, hey, speaking of IRL and meeting, I do need to let you guys know. The official announcement has not been made. However, I believe Will Neff has announced it, and maybe possibly some other people. Creator Clash is being postponed and will not, I believe, none of this is set in stone. I don't know anything, I just box. I do know. They are being very transparent with us, but they are, I don't know what I want to say, because what if I say something and then they say something different? You know what I mean? But Creator Clash is being postponed. It's not going to happen in June. It's not going to happen in Tampa.
Wonderful. I love it.
Licious.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Thank you for the 29 months, Licious. Good to see you. You're just in time for this very important announcement. So yeah, Creator Clash postponed. Will not be in Tampa. Will not be in June. However, you know who is going to be in Tampa in June? Me. I'm going to be in Tampa in June. That's right. I am still going to be there. June 28th, the weekend of June 28th, myself and all of the mods are going to be in Tampa. We will be hosting meetups, events. There will be things happening. So if you are going to be in Tampa that weekend...
that's great and all. Like, props to her for wanting to do that for her community and the people that have already bought tickets. Like I'm saying, the people that might have already had like gotten stays and stuff. But it's just still like, you guys shouldn't be responsible for that. Like, the creators shouldn't be the ones like left to foot the bill. You know what I mean?
Because you already got your ticket, your flight, your hotel, whatever. We'll make the most of it. I'm still going to treat it like a nice little summer trip with gang. So, I know, really shitty news. However, I think under all the circumstances and everything that has happened over the last however many months, this is the correct decision. At the end of the day, we are trying to raise money for charity, and we want to do everything possible to raise as much money as possible. I don't know.
And all that means is just taking more time to hope that you guys get more ticket sales. Is that basically all it is? Because that's the only reason to postpone, right? Is if you don't have the money yet. Stuff isn't coming through, or the ticket sales aren't making sense.
What the concrete plan is, I believe end of October might be when everything happens. That being said, I get to be in the gym for even longer. Yay! Yippee! Woohoo!
Why'd they add that little in bit? Great clip. Creator Clash 3 confirmed at Four Seasons Landscaping, Philadelphia. So true. Yep, tickets are still being sold to this day, and if it's still taking place, and as if it's still taking place in Tampa, by the way, and also on the 28th of June, which is crazy. I'm telling you, that's one month away. I had to think for a second. I'm like, wait, I'm not stupid, right? I know my months. I went to kindergarten. So there have been a lot of people talking about Ahmed, who came on and talked about his Align for Palestine movement, the org that he runs. And a lot of people have been claiming that it is fraud and it is pro-IDF because it's through the Atlantic Council, because they have a bunch of different global campaigns that they run. But so this is addressing the claims that Ethan committed charity fraud on Friday. One of the top posts on Hassan's subreddit and FOMOI right now is a defamatory lie alleging that Ethan is soliciting donations for the pro-IDF Atlantic Council by claiming they are by claiming they are for Palestine. So the claim is that they're just sending people to Atlantic Council as if Atlantic Council for a whole is pro-Palestine. So I decided to check if they ever said anything that would warrant such an accusation. And of course, they didn't. Here's the essence of the conversation about donations, with translations for anyone incapable of understanding what was actually said.
Do you have an organization? Are you part of a nonprofit? What do you do? Is there a place we can donate?
So as I work at the Atlantic Council, where I am a resident senior fellow, but also I run Realign for Palestine through the Atlantic Council. And we have like our own standalone website, realignforpalestine.org. There is a donate button, .org, standalone website through the Atlantic Council. And we have like our own standalone website, realignforpalestine.org. There is a donate.
Them having their own website too, it's just like, because I think that maybe people were misunderstanding when he was saying he's working through the Atlantic Council. This is like when Hassan said that Ethan works with the I'm fucking going so brain dead today. Sorry, I was up late editing a video, but you get what I'm saying. No charitability at all. He works for the Atlantic Council, and they are pro IDF because they have a Israel campaign. I don't even know it does. The thing that would be interesting is, has anyone looked into their actual Israel campaign on the Atlantic Council? Like, if the thing that they're running on that website is even like pro government, like, you know, pro Zionist or whatever, or if it is just like humanitarian. Because that would also be an interesting aspect. I feel like, yeah, the ADL. Sorry, I've just been hearing too many acronyms. The ADL, the ANC, the IRA, the IDF. The oh my god, it's too much. It becomes too much at some point. But let's continue.
Donate button. And certainly folks can donate there, but also I would encourage folks to consider the World Food Program has a Gaza Appeals page that is dedicated for sending food just for Gaza. And they are incredibly capable.
Oh, that's great. So send us both links so we can put them in the description.
Okay. I sent this link. So this is the this is the fundraising arm of the World Food Program, but all money here donated this link goes to the World Food Program for Gaza specifically. And they're basically one of the biggest feeders of Gaza right now at scale. So yeah, so you can donate there if you want to feed Gazans, and I'll send you the Realign for Palestine.
And there's an I see when I was listening to this part, I was also like doing editing and stuff, so I didn't like really catch this part either. The link he sends first isn't even the Atlantic Council one. It sounds like it's a different like thing he sends. So he's sending like a donation link about about sending food into Gaza, and then about the Atlantic Council as like a secondary thing to support through his organization.
Website that I would love if people can explore. And as you navigate that website, there is an option to.
Can you, Lena, can you donate 1,000 to each one of those orgs for us? And then I hope that other people will join in supporting your cause. And it's great to know that there's
the World Food Program.
That's it. Yeah, that's really a good recommendation. Yeah,
I know those people for sure. Like, they are getting food into Gaza right now.
That's great.
Those trucks that you hear about, that's all them.
Okay. So there it is. I encourage everyone to support. We're going to send some money.
Yeah, and I guess the thing would be here, if he's lying, I don't know if this is true. Maybe this is all a lie. It's all a farce. Even if that's all true, how would Ethan know? Like, he watches him and sees, like, the things he's saying. If anything, he's doing what Hassan is doing. You know what I mean? He's propagandizing for, in his direction. But what he's saying sounds like good work. So unless he's outright lying and, like, you know what I mean, just making up that those trucks are from that organization, or if his organization actually directly profits Israel in some way, like, that would be the claim. And I feel like that's way more conspiratorial than just believing what he's saying at face value. Like, without at least, like, people giving us an explanation as to why he's lying, other than just the Atlantic Council has other, global things that they run.
To both of those orgs. And
thank you, and thanks again for hearing me out, for the space, and for supporting the World Food Program and Realign for Palestine. Really
there it
appreciate
is.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. We'll talk soon.
All right, have a great day. Thank you.
Have a great evening and a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
There, I appreciate it. There it is. That'd be Ahmed Fuad Al Khatib. And we're recommending the World Food Kitchen. I love knowing, like, what's the best way to get the aid in there for the people. So that's a good recommendation, and also supporting his org. And that's it.
And see, here's one thing I will say is when promoting anything as a nonprofit, I think that you should question where like how much the higher ups are getting paid, because a nonprofit just means that the organization itself doesn't make any money like year over year, but it still pays out its employees. So that is like something that if you want to question it, but honestly, it is just weird that people were trying to frame it as if this was another example of him doing like Israel propaganda and performing rhetoric or something. I don't know. But this is kind of interesting. Asmongold confirms Hassan's agents are paying for his puff piece articles. Now, this is a big claim. This is a big claim. This is grounds for a lawsuit. This is defamation if it's a lie.
Actually, you know what? I probably shouldn't say this. This is a bit too much behind the curtain. But I can say that
Asmongold really does look like a jackrabbit.
I can say that. I think I even said something like this before. You know Hassan's had a lot of articles, right? Yeah, and everybody knows we're rep by the same agency. I went and I said, yo, by the way, guys, like y'all are getting major props for, like the motion Hassan's been getting. And like I linked them a few of the tweets and they appreciated it. They were like, thanks. They were. Not Night Media. Yeah, you said it before. And so, yeah, I was like, no, that's it. The guy's farming. Yeah, I mean, because you gotta, I gotta respect it, right? That's it. And, yeah. And I guess so. You snitched.
He snitched. So real. And then this was I think this was probably the best articulated I've seen of this point. And I'm pretty sure this is from the section that was deleted from Noah's video, yeah? Or was this from a different stream or something? But LonerBox pulls the pirate software and gives us a little breakdown.
People living in the West have the most power over anyone else in the world to stop the genocide. We are living in the belly of the beast. We have direct geographical, physical access to the politicians, the propagandists, the weapons companies, and the supply chains that are facilitating this genocide. Protesting is great. We should keep doing that. But also, I feel like we have to be honest with ourselves. 17 months in, and what is protesting actually accomplished? Raising awareness, sure. Divestment, yeah, in some places. But really, politically, materially, nothing. Israel just killed the most children in its history in a single night with total impunity, with a deafening silence among the Western media. If we want this genocide to stop, it's time to escalate. That's all I'm saying. So anyways, yes.
See, you can lay it out very easily, one sentence at a time. It's quite clear. We in the West have direct physical access to a bunch of people, including the propagandists, after just labeling a bunch of people creators, propagandists. What does protesting achieve? Well, some things, but overall, basically nothing. If we want this to stop, we need to escalate. That's all I'm saying. I'm sorry. If you had a clear vision for what needs to be done to stop the genocide, you would say it because you want to direct your audience into something fruitful. Unless the thing you want your audience to do is against TOS, criminal, violent, etc. He's calling for people to do something that he is too cowardly to say himself. He's calling for people to do dirty work for him. That's what this is. It is unambiguously a call for violence, okay? I'm sorry. And he doesn't want to spoil his cute little life. He doesn't want to fuck his income and ruin the little cushy career that he's got a hold of. He doesn't want to do that. He wants other people to fuck up their lives and get thrown in jail or whatever else for him. He wants other people to be Luigi or fucking, what's his face, Aaron Bushnell or whoever else.
And that's the problem with like radical propagandists is like they don't care about anything other than radicalizing other people. They aren't going to become a martyr. They aren't going to die for the cause. They aren't going to put themselves in a position where they have to. They would rather make other people do it and then say that they've they've stirred the pot enough and activated enough minds to consider themselves like a important part of the machine or whatever.
And it's interesting that he said propagandists, because that might actually encompass the people that he's just spent the entire video calling genocide defenders. I'm sorry, if you can understand how January 6th was an incitement to violence, Trump, despite him saying peacefully, patriotically, if you can understand how that whole speech in all its context is a call to violence, then you understand how this is as well.
Yeah, this is definitely an old clip. He doesn't have the split hair, and I feel like I saw this before. And yeah, that's basically it. That was basically it for that. So now I have the question that I need to ask. I think I'll throw up a little poll. Be easier that way. So there's T. Catherine went on Call Her Daddy. What does she say? Hey, Daddy Gang.
Catherine Pies, welcome to Call Her Daddy.
Thank you.
You and your ex-husband, Austin McBroom, started the Ace Family, the biggest family YouTube channel ever to exist. Let's talk about the cheating allegations.
I was so afraid to say, I'm an idiot. I just didn't see it. I don't remember exactly the first, there's just so many. I grabbed the phone, this long text comes through, if you really love your wife. I was like yelling, screaming, tell me, please, please just tell me who that was. I feel so stupid, just tell me, I'm having a baby, please just tell me. I felt like I was being gaslighted. Is he telling the truth? Am I just being all in my head? I never heard him say the words, I cheated, until about a week ago.
How many more did you find out about?
There was 20 or something. He said, as long as I said you don't embarrass me. I never, ever said that. I would never say that. I would never want my kids to think that that is okay to cheat on your husband or your wife, and I will make sure that I raise them and that they know that they never, ever do that, because that is so wrong. And you never cheat on the person you love.
Interesting. Not gonna lie, I can tell this is an emotional scenario, and maybe she just has Botox, but it almost seemed like fake crying, but it could just be because she might have Botox. Like, I feel kind of like I shouldn't have pointed that out. But basically, the reason I bring this up is because there's two videos that we could watch. I'll throw up a little poll. I kind of am leaning towards the podcast. Catherine Paez, my husband cheated with 20 women.
Daddy Gang.
Hey,
Daddy Gang.
Hey, Daddy Gang. Real. But then there's also a content cop on Taylor Lorenz. I thought this was recent because I was like, what? All this beef happening all of a sudden with Taylor Lorenz, and someone drops a content cop? But no, it's from 3 years ago. Only 90K views. So these are our options. This one's kind of we could save this towards the end of the week if we really want to. It's also a little bit shorter. It's just, I know that we couldn't get to both of them.
I'm here in New York City, the concrete jungle, home of literary lions, Wall Street bears, and reptilian reporters. But today, our focus is on one particular viper who sits at the highest steps of journalism.
Just a little bit of an interesting dichotomy. But we'll throw up a little poll. Here, I'll play this while I'm making the poll. This is Olivia calls AB a little bitch. H3 podcast clip.
You're such a little bitch. The late 20 teens, because he went down this weird
Okay, we are gonna watch this though, because this is just a little. Oh, actually, this is a lot longer than I thought it was gonna be too. So I do need to put up this poll because we could start with this too, because this is actually Taylor Lorenz DMs Ethan Klein saga. Because she was having a conversation with Taylor Lorenz. Ethan actually posted this on his story. Let's see, do I have it pulled up? Oh, it's right here. Okay. We can watch this too. See, there's just a lot of stuff we could look at. But just one of several weird, dishonest things Taylor Lorenz said to me in DMs about Ethan Klein. The rest is here, then the video. But the CPS stuff is definitely not okay. And of course, Ethan didn't mean to kill his dog. But Ethan has directed so much hate and abuse at others. I really think he needs to stop engaging with random Redditors. And then she just responded, he didn't kill his dog. Real. But yeah, it's just so weird for people to say stuff like that. He didn't mean to kill his dog. He just did it. No, I was gonna make a reference, but I don't know if anyone was gonna get it. Has anyone watched Papa Meat Canyon and Wendigoon's podcast? What the hell is it even called? I'm really going brain dead today, but on there, Papa Meat Hunter talked about how his grandpa shot his dog in the head when he was like 7 years old or something, like right next to him. Insane stuff. Okay. I put it up. And honestly, if we do the content cop Taylor Lorenz, I don't even know if we'll get to this because that just means we're going to start with this. Okay. That's how it's looking right now. Let it go for just a second. Here, I'll sing a little song while we wait. Looking back at me, I see that I never really got it right. Only stopped to think of you. Okay, 8's enough. We're gonna watch this. Not for real. Once the safety of my kids are threatened, no one is off limits. You're going to the dogs. But so this is where we're gonna start, and it is. I'm ending the poll. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, anybody that wanted the Catherine stuff. We'll watch that on Friday. But so this is coming from the girl with the microphone. Taylor Lorenz lied to me about H3's Ethan Klein. May 26th of Odd. Starting from the beginning.
For the next bit, I'm going to need to give y'all a little bit of context. I'm going to assume that you don't know who Ethan Klein is. Ethan Klein is, this is actually a perfect still because it has all three people that I want to talk about. Of course, it's a Hassan stream. Oh, shit. I didn't want to do that. Okay, open image in new tab. Okay, so I don't have a name yet for the frog. So if y'all want to come up with a name for my sweet little froggy, please do. I wish I could like sit her in frame. She can be the stream mascot. Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna make this as quick as I can because, like I said, I'm pretty sure y'all have no interest in this, but
I do.
It's something that has been bothering me about the internet, and so I want to talk about it. Let me move this a little bit to the side. So Ethan Klein is the guy in the middle here. He is probably my favorite streamer. Oh, Victoria, you might be about to hate me then. He has a very there's a love-hate relationship around Ethan Klein. So let me just give you some background, and I hope that you will be open-minded about it. So I've been a fan for a long time. I stopped watching him in like the late 20-teens because he went down this weird path of like making fun of social justice warriors, and that was a thing. And he started accruing this like edgelord audience, right? Like this right-wing audience. But then he pivoted. He didn't like that, and he pivoted.
You're right. The frogs were the cause of this curse. It's like the great plagues of Egypt. That's what happened, right?
So, I came back around because I caught some of his content, and I was like, oh shit, like, Ethan's back. Because I had felt so sad that I didn't agree with him on stuff anymore, right? And I couldn't enjoy his content because it wasn't funny to me, because it was kind of alt-righty, and I didn't like it. So came back around, and he used to make like comedy videos, and now he does.
I really don't understand how people say Ethan went alt-right. If anything, he went like really woke, and then has kind of been pushing his way back a little bit from that, because that is like I don't think people understand. I feel like Ethan started and kind of ended at, not even ended, but just as it is at the same place as when he started. He's just the types, like the way that the people he's criticizing look has changed. He used to criticize woke blue-haired social justice warriors. Was this him being like super alt-right? No, he was just pointing out the extremes of that, like, you know, of that particular era. And now he's pointing out the extremes of this era. It's just like, that's one thing I'll never understand when people say that.
He does a podcast like 4 times a week, 3 times public and once a week for members. Oh, I know the lore of H3. I'm on the fence with them right now, honestly, because of everything. Yeah, I totally understand that.
And these are always the claims. Why do people always say this? It's so vague. Like, why do you say such vague things? I'm on the fence right now because of everything. Give some examples. Give some points. Don't just say he went alt-right for a little bit. Don't just say, like, come on. Because I know I do that when I talk about Hassan, but at least I can like point to the fact that I don't like him because of the way he interacts with his chat. Every time that I went into his streams when I first learned about him, I didn't like the way that he talked to his chat, and I found that he didn't give a lot of commentary on the content that I was interested in. So if he was doing like a, you know, some breaking down some religious video or something, it's like he wouldn't talk throughout it, and so it felt like, you know what I mean? That's at least like a valid criticism. Whereas I wouldn't just say, well, he was too extreme for me. In what ways? Well, he shows terrorism. There's my example.
I'm so deep into the lore. I've been listening to and watching like everything about this. So, I mean, I'll come out and say right now, like, at this point, I'm definitely team Ethan. Like, and I mean, we can go into it later if we want. But anyway, so that right now what's happening is Ethan Klein is Jewish, and he is an Israeli citizen who was born in America, but his wife is from Israel, Hila, and they lived in Israel for 5 years together before eventually moving to the US. While they were in Israel, they voted against Netanyahu. They do not agree with anything that he's doing. They have been pro-Palestine openly on the internet since well before October 7th, okay? You can go back and look at that stuff. So for some reason after October 7th, the narrative about Ethan shifted. All of a sudden, it was a problem that he is Israeli.
For real, team Ethan for the ETH win.
In his opinion, people are attacking him because he's Jewish. I think it's more about the ties to Israel, but we need Israeli.
I feel like I need to break this down every time we talk about like Israel Palestine, and like when people talk about anti-Semitism. I think it comes from xenophobia. It starts at xenophobia. People act like they dislike Israel, and thus they then show hate to Israelis. That like, you know, kind of diverts a little bit, because it's not the Israelis specifically, it's specifically the like European colonizer Israelis. But then that's kind of like nebulous, kind of a, you know, weird, it doesn't really mean, like, you know what I mean? How do you figure that out? So then it kind of breaks down to the ones that are Jewish, the non-Druze, the non-Arabs, the non, you know, whatever, all of the majority that are running the country, even though there is pushback within it. So that's where like the anti-Semitism comes, is that there is like, it's a conflation that's made because of the interconnectedness between the Jewish culture and the Israeli like population.
Allies. And these two are Israeli allies. Like, nothing's going to change without Israeli allies, right? People who will stand up to the far-right government in Israel. So he had a show with Hassan Piker, who's this guy here on the right. They did a politics show. Hassan is like way further left than Ethan. I think he considers himself a communist, and Ethan considers himself a social democrat. So he says, you know, like, I don't mind capitalism, but I think it could be done better. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's okay. So they got in a series of arguments after October 7th in which Ethan felt very attacked by Hassan's audience because, you know, Hassan's audience is more extreme than the general H3 podcast audience. And so they were flooding the chat, being horrible to Ethan, being horrible to Hila, calling her a baby killer because she had done the mandatory military service in the IDF as a secretary. And
well, she could have just gone to prison. She could have just taken a religious exemption, right? She could have just she could have just lied and been a liar and a cheater, and then, you know, fought her way out of it. Like, I really just feel like someone who has like who's in that scenario just kind of goes, well, I'm gonna just do what I have to do. They're really fucking thought they were gonna be done. They're really up there bullshitting. These motherfuckers.
And for years before October 7th, this had never been a problem. And now she's a baby killer. Now magically they're like rewriting history and saying that she's like murdering children, right? So all this stuff starts happening. It gets really ugly. You know, alt-right Nazis start popping up and picking up on things. And Hassan's audience is like sharing these talking points and memes and videos from all these alt-right Nazis that, you know, hate Ethan and Hila because they're Jews. And in Ethan's opinion, Hassan did not do enough as his friend to moderate his chat.
The music change was kind of amazing. I was gonna say her music's way too fucking loud, and she needs, because I want to turn her down a little bit, but I feel like if I turn her down, all I'm gonna end up hearing is music. Like, my God.
Things snowballed out of control. They ended up stopping the show because it was just too upsetting, because there was so much harassment going on, and the harassment got centralized on Reddit in a series of what is known as snark subreddits, where the accounts or the forums just exist to shit on a public person, a show, a character, whatever it is, right? So all of these snark subreddits pop up, and they're all disgusting, horrible, saying horrible shit, untrue stuff about Ethan and Hila. It gets to the point that CPS is called on Hila and Ethan. Why? Because one of the more extreme.
See, I hadn't heard that about her parents not allowing her to try and dodge either. Like, and that makes sense. They, you know what I mean? Her, I'm sure her father was, you know, part of the IDF at some point, and her brothers were as well. So, like, Moses was a helicopter pilot or whatever. So, it's not like their family was, like, even though she was obviously opposed to the governmental aims and the things that they were doing, when you have, like, a family, you're going to kind of try and keep the peace in both ways. And honestly, if you're in the military, I mean, you can always deny doing the things that they're trying to ask you to do too. And the one thing that they always bring up is her going on a singular raid where she does say that they got shot at when entering the city. So, and you could say that's because they were in the armored truck or whatever, but it's like, there's clearly, like, there's a lot of nuance there. Should she have been there? Who knows? Probably not. I don't think they should have even taken her, to be honest. But, like, I don't think those guys were supposed to be taking her on this, like, this raid, this arrest of this, on this Palestinian. And again, in that clip, I'm sorry, I'm just too, like, I'm too internet brained. I just know all of the lore. Because in that clip, Ethan also is pointing out that it makes sense for the surrounding Palestinians who might not be part of Hamas or part of any type of, like, extremist whatever, like, that they would just see the IDF pulling up and arresting their neighbors, and it would make sense for them to then have a growing, like, aggressive sentiment towards the IDF and towards Israel as a whole. Like, it just makes sense. But again, people don't care about, like, the nuances of, like, their statements.
Extreme far-right people, yeah, so much internet drama. One of the extreme far-left people made a video saying Ethan's children were crawling around in dog shit and catching diseases. There's more to it, but just know that that is not what happened. I'm just trying to stick to the facts here because I know most of you don't know who any of these people are. So that happened, and then CPS ends up getting called on Ethan and Ila's children like 2 days later. And that is kind of where everything went crazy. I mean, Ethan, in my mind, rightfully was very protective over his children and his family, and kind of went fully mask off on these people he thought were his friends. Enter Taylor Lorenz. So Taylor Lorenz is a journalist, and I was a huge fan of hers. That's her there on the left. I loved her interview with that crazy woman that lives of TikTok. Haya something. I don't remember her last name. So I was a big fan of hers. I followed her. I messaged her to tell her how much I liked her interview, and, like, we talked back and forth in DMs, you know, like late last year. And we had talked about potentially, you know, like, I wanted to interview her about her upcoming projects. She had, like, a book coming out, or it was already out, and then she had a new podcast she was launching. So I was like, oh, like, if you want to come on the show, not that my show is anything, right? So I really liked her, and I thought that her focus on internet culture was, like, a perfect fit for this story. I was like, I can't write this because I'm not a journalist, and I don't have the platform and the connects to do that, but I feel like this is really interesting and something that Taylor could sink her teeth into. Honestly, I can listen to this all day because it's so much to understand. Did you see the content cop on Ethan? Oh yes, it was so stupid. Victoria, I'll go in on all of it. I have watched the content nuke, the content cop on the content cop, all of the different streamers.
No, yeah, I have heard that Moses is very, like, pro-Israel and, like, a true form of, like, a Zionist, if you want to say that. But they don't care. Like, Trisha's fans aren't going to care about that. They only care about attacking Ethan. They don't care about the actual, like, conversation that's being had, and so it just amplifies whatever hatred is being spread through Hassan's community. I feel like they kind of just both push each other back and forth, and the music is getting me. I'm telling you. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hump Day. Remember that one?
Streamers' reactions to those 3 videos, and now Ethan has 1 or 2 more videos coming out soon. There's just so much. So, and let me just say in the middle of this, which I should have said at the beginning, I am nobody in this story. I don't want to be anybody in this story, but I do have firsthand experience with Taylor Lorenz related to this issue, Taylor Lorenz. I have firsthand information related to this that I just want to put out there because I think it does add a little more color to the story, especially the story that she is telling different people. Okay, so I knew her. I had talked to her in DMs. I trusted her work as a journalist, the work that I knew. I know people are now bringing up that she was allegedly fired from the Washington Post. But I don't know what the truth is there. She said it's not true. Based on my firsthand experience with her, I don't know how often she tells the truth. So I genuinely do not know what the deal is there. So yeah, I reached out and I was like, hey, I don't know if you know what's going on, but Reddit is like a cesspool of these snark pages that go after people. And it's not just online, like they're taking it offline. Like with Ethan Klein, you know, they just got CPS called on his kids and they had to come to the house and do all this shit based on total lies. Just like wasting the resources of LA's CPS. Like I mean, there's so many people in LA, I'm sure they're overwhelmed. And the way she responded was very surprising to me. So I'm going to show you the Instagram conversation, the bits of it that I kept between me and Taylor Lorenz. It wasn't much more than this. We didn't talk for very long because clearly we were not going to agree with each other. So I'm just going to show you what I ended up having. I actually didn't even think I had anything left, but I was talking to my friend and they were like, oh, you sent them to me. I was like, oh shit. So that was awesome. Okay, so basically what my intro was, like I said, I was like, Taylor, I think this would be a really good story. And if no one's paying attention to it, but it is huge and it is having like real world impacts. This is what she said. Hi, yeah, I've seen Ethan launching hate.
I'm like waiting for like a break in the banging so I can talk, but it looks like I'm gonna have to talk through. I'm gonna just talk really loud. I keep seeing Taylor Lorenz in my feed right after the election, and she said that we shouldn't be questioning the results because we sound just like Republicans, and I blocked her. Yeah, I mean that's the problem with like people that only talk about internet drama. You kind of do need to dip your toes into like the political sphere every once in a while, because what you could be doing is like harboring certain sentiments without expressly like, you know, stating them. And I don't think that everybody needs to talk about politics, obviously, but I think in your personal life, if you want to have a presence online outside of pure content creation, like if you don't just have a YouTube channel where you post YouTube channels, if you want to have an Instagram or a Twitter or like other stuff, you're gonna end up getting sucked into this kind of stuff. I was watching an old Frenemies episode last night, and Ethan was getting really upset with the Israeli government. He's always had the view nothing has changed, and that's like the real truth of it. That I don't think anybody really will talk about is the same way that Hassan streams for 12 hours a day, and nobody can know all of the context of everything that he's saying. Ethan has done so many podcasts. For us to pull out every segment where he's talked like bad about Israel or bad about Netanyahu, or you know, talk down about what they're doing in Gaza, it would take time. It probably wouldn't be that long, to be completely honest, because it's a comedy podcast. He isn't talking politics that consistently. But like, were they talking like I don't know, it's just, again, I feel like there's stuff you can care about personally that you don't need to talk about publicly, but you are always going to get sucked into it in the end of the day.
Campaigns.
I don't know. I feel like I am living below Abba and Preach at the moment. But now it's ever since they fixed the creaking, it's just banging now. Yeah. I guess the true issue is that it is just being an Israeli and being Jewish. Because it's what gets them pulled into it. They can't not talk about it. And that is unfair to them at the end of the day.
And abusing other creators. This leaves out the fact that those creators antagonized him into reacting. There's a lot of what, you know, in the domestic violence world is called reactive abuse, where Ethan is definitely going hard at people, right? He's going hard, but they keep leaving out the part where CPS is being called, or his wife is being called a baby killer, and people are playing video games trying, you know, role playing that they're killing her as an Israeli soldier, like, and they're Hamas, right? Just a horrible, horrible, horrible torrents of shit. These people are harassing the entire crew of the podcast who have nothing to do with it. There are 2 Arab American members of the crew that they're calling Uncle Toms. These are white people calling Arab people Uncle Toms. White people, that's not our word. So anyway, I know he's launching hate campaigns and abusing other creators. It's really sad, and I feel he's having...
I mean, low-key, a white person calling anybody an Uncle Tom is pretty racist, right? Like, imagine a white person calling a black person an Uncle Tom. That doesn't come off good optically.
Having some sort of mental health crisis, so I've held off.
I'm gonna watch the content cop Taylor Lorenz after. I'm really waiting to see if she gets through this. I'm waiting to get to the actual messages. Let's talk about them. Come on. She seems to have a good, like a decent back and forth with Lorenz. So I think this will give us like a little bit of insight into who she is interpersonally, and then we can see who she really is. Because yeah, this guy's video is a little bit long.
On writing about it. This mental health thing is like the through line, the narrative for all of these people. They seem to antagonize him until he responds, which Ethan always responds at 100%, like that's who he is. And then they can say, see, I knew you were crazy. And just discredit what he's been saying, which is basically that none of you are doing anything to stop the harassment to me and my family. You are stoking anti-Semitism online. You are putting innocent Israeli civilians in danger, innocent Jewish people in danger, because he doesn't believe that Israeli civilians are valid military targets, just like he doesn't believe innocent Palestinians are valid military targets. So I've held off on writing about it because of that. I also want to make sure the people he's targeted are safe. So she thinks if she writes something that Hassan Piker is going to be in danger. No. So at this point, I already knew that she had been given the party line from Hassan's group and that she was kind of in with them. So I was like, oh God, this sucks. I was like really disappointed that she couldn't even see like the objective importance of covering an issue like this at like writ large, like maybe talk about the Ethan stuff, but just in general with the whole taking online harassment offline, right? And targeting people's children, right? So she said, I didn't know about the CPS thing, which I believe is a lie. We'll look deeper at the DMs later, but I think that he really needs to log off and stop trying to dox and brigade people. He hasn't doxed anyone. He has shown people's profile pictures who have said things like, I want to take his children by the ankles and swing them into a tree over and over again. Those are the kind of people whose pictures he's showing on his podcast. I'm very concerned about the way Ethan is stalking random Reddit moderators and trying to destroy their lives. The reason he's not stalking anybody, was trying to track down the people who are running targeted harassment campaigns that are putting his staff and his family in danger. It's really, really gross. I've seen a lot of what they say and it's horrific. It's so sad what happened to him. I don't want to exacerbate the situation. What's so sad? Like, I think she's saying she feels sorry for him because she thinks he's nuts. Okay, so then I should have just said nothing, right? But I couldn't not try to reach her. So I said, oh shit, so you're just getting one side of the story and sticking with that, huh? That's a bummer. I was hoping as a journalist it wouldn't be the case. I was thinking, you know, maybe she's objective. Maybe this, because it's just so up her alley, and I was so disappointed that this was her response. So I said,
No, yeah, that's true too. Her claiming to not having known about the CPS thing is kind of invalidating to have an opinion on how he's acting, because that, I think, is the one piece of like context that makes a lot of the like abrasive moments that Ethan has make more sense. Like people want to act like, oh, he's just lashing out for no reason, but lashing out after CPS comes to your house kind of makes sense. Like, especially when it's so unjustifiable and obviously plainly wrong, and was proven wrong through like by CPS. They came and were like, oh, I guess unless they're just still doing an investigation, they're about to come back.
Where are you getting your info from exactly? And then she kind of, if I remember correctly, she kind of obfuscated and was like, I'm not going to debate this with you just because I'm not getting the same information as you are, right? Stuff like that. More of the party line. So I apparently said at some point, what Zionist nonsense, because she said he was spreading Zionist nonsense. What Zionist nonsense exactly is he spreading? He has said, and this is what I said earlier, he said that he doesn't think Israeli citizens should be valid military targets. But he disagrees with Netanyahu. He is pro-Palestine, free Palestine, wants a two-state solution, which is a pretty normal thing that people want. These extreme leftists that are pushing a one-state solution are not considering like the geopolitics of it. And Ethan has also said, it's cool if the two-state is like a stepping stone, right? But none of them, this is how I know none of these people are listening to him. They're getting it filtered through other people. So she says, I do not have time to educate.
Come on, stop it. Stop doing this.
You on this whole thing. Please get.
I do not have time to educate you on this whole thing. What are you talking about? Give me one singular example. Like the fact that people will say Hassan supports terrorism. How could you say that? How could you ever say that? He plays terrorist propaganda, says he doesn't have a problem with Hezbollah or a problem with Hamas. or the Houthis. Or no, wait. Or yeah, it was Hezbollah. He said he doesn't really have a problem with. It's like, can we really be like, oh, yeah, there's an example. But any example of him supporting Zionist propaganda, it's like, well, it's just his whole thing. His whole thing. It's everything he does. You know, when they're talking about the Ace family drama, that's him supporting Zionism.
Outside your media bubble. Hilarious. This is hilarious coming from her, as you will see in a second. Oh, there it is, the two-state solution. Again, I'm not trying to argue about Israel. But you're not telling the truth about somebody who is Israeli and is on your side. You're spreading misinformation. I said, wow, okay, seems like you're in the bubble here. Disappointing to say the least. This is fun. I am actually speaking to people involved. You are not. This is what she said to me. And she'll say it again, and it's important to remember this. So put a pin in that. Oh, here it is again. But I'm actually talking to people and you're not, with all due respect. And I said, but you're talking to people who are misrepresenting things and who never actually consume primary sources. Because people like Hassan and his friends, they don't watch anything like a primary source. They watch someone else reacting to clips of Ethan. They never get it from the horse's mouth, as they say. So it's all filtered down, and then they know how to.
I'm actually talking to people and you're not, with all due respect. She's just a very condescending person. And also, talking to people about what? Are you talking to them about their experiences? Or are you talking to... Because unless you're talking to Ethan about his perspective, and then claiming also that you don't know about... Like, all you can know from talking to the creators that Ethan has harassed is the only thing you can gather is how they feel about it, what their opinion on it is, especially if they're not going to give you any clear examples as to what they're talking about.
React to it. Okay, so she triples down on this. I know things that you don't know, and I'm really connected to this. I'm sorry, but I've talked to people who directly work with Ethan and some of our mutual close friends. This is absurd. You don't know any of the people involved, and you're telling me I'm not getting a full picture because I haven't consumed the same Reddit content as you. No, I am telling you you're wrong because you are not consuming Ethan's content and what he's actually saying. You are consuming Reddit snarker content. Okay, so keep in mind that she is telling me she's super involved. She knows everything. She's talking to people that Ethan works with, and they're really concerned about him. Meanwhile, someone that Ethan knows shared this conversation that they had with Taylor. Taylor has this, supposedly has this snark Instagram account, Taylor Lorenz 3.0, which I don't know if it's her or not. Ethan seems to think she's lying and that it is. So this person is talking to Taylor, and she's like, hey, is that your page? Because Taylor Lorenz 3.0 had shared a joke about, Ethan being obsessed with Hassan. Oh, I can see him in my carpet. So this person says, hey, Taylor, is that your page? Hi. Oh, God, not the H3 subreddit. So already biased against people who like H3. Haha, so it's not you, this person says. And then she says, do you know what's going on with Ethan, by the way? I've only been following tangentially. When she told me in March, immediately after the CPS call, that she was really involved and she was talking to mutual close friends about it and people he works with.
Bit of an expose there, Honestly, kind of got her with that one. Because that's just showing that she's a liar. She's willing to lie to try and play dumb and be like, well, what's going on though? But what's happening? Not a good look.
I used to follow Taylor Lorenz and I unfollowed her because of some nonsense I can't remember. Yeah, this was my nonsense. I was a big fan of her, and then I found this out. So, did you lie to me or did you lie to this person?
The way everybody just has their own experience of why they've blocked or unfollowed Taylor Lorenz. She simultaneously gained a following and lost a following at the same time.
In my opinion, it feels like she wanted to big time me because I don't on any level believe that she is in contact with anyone working with Ethan who agrees with her. But she was definitely alluding to the fact that people that know Ethan have reached out to her and that she's really in the center of this. But then she tells this person, I've only been following tangentially, meaning I'm not involved, hands off, no idea. So who did you lie to? In my opinion, like I said, I think she was trying to big time me and shut me down. And then she lied to this person or tried to seem like a little more hands off to them because maybe she like respects this person and wanted to see like where they stand. I don't know. But there's the first lie. There's the first lie is her saying that first of all, she's saying she didn't know about the CPS stuff, which isn't true. I didn't know about the CPS thing. Definitely not true. And then bragging about and telling me that I don't know anything because I am not on the inner circle like she is about this. But then also at the same time saying to someone else, oh, I'm not really following it that closely. What's going on? And just playing stupid. Okay, this is the really bad one that I...
The only Taylors I know are Taylor Swift, Taylor Lautner, and Taylor Lautner's wife, Taylor Lautner.
Wanted to share. Besides the CPS stuff, the first lie that Hassan's orbiters and fans started perpetuating was that Ethan killed his dog. There's no way his staff is talking to anyone outside their circle right now. As much as I disagree with some things, there's so much we don't know. I think that's what you mean. Don't see at the same time. We don't see the private conversations. 1,000%. And that's what I'm saying. Like I am not deigning to fully understand what's going on behind the scenes. But we also do now know that one of the people that she claimed she was talking to about this was Tom Ward, one of the advertising manager, who does not agree with her at all and stuck up for Ethan. So she's full of shit, in my opinion. Okay. So the story that started before the CPS thing, the thing that they were focused on before that happened, was saying that Ethan killed his dog Shredder. Shredder was a sweet little Yorkie Terrier. And he was, as Ethan said, he was Ethan and Hila's first baby. They were in love with him. I mean, they raised him on camera, right? Like in all of the videos and everything. They took him everywhere. He was like their son before they had their kids. And sadly, Shredder only lived 6 years. I don't know why it's like making me upset. It's stupid.
The music change at that moment was so fitting. I don't know. I don't think it was intentional. I think she just has music playing in the background, but that was kind of beautiful.
He was like their son before they had their kids. And sadly, Shredder only lived 6 years. I don't know why it's like making me upset. It's stupid. Probably because my cat passed away this past year. He only lived 6 years. He had kidney disease, and they tried to figure out what it was and how to help him and what medicine might give him more time. But none of it worked. And we as fans watched for months as...
No, I agree too. I love Tom so much. Not just because he's a ride or die. It's because you can tell that he's a ride or die for the right reason. Ethan saw something in him. He saw the potential of that man. And nobody had given him a chance, you know? He had worked his whole life building what he could with his bare hands. And he didn't have too much to show for it. But Ethan said, no. Come with me, young child. No more refrigeration for you. Well, you can still have refrigeration. No more refrigeration sales.
As Ethan and Hila just struggled and grappled with the fact that he was dying so young, only 6 years old. And so this was when I really understood that these snarkers, these Hassan fans, didn't give a shit about the people in Palestine. They just used this created drama as an outlet because they started spreading a rumor that Ethan fed his dog cheese and it killed him because he had mentioned once that Shredder got cheese as a snack one time. They took that and ran with it and put all over the internet on their corner of the internet, that Ethan had killed his dog. The most insane, stupid, unbelievable shit. And in my opinion, they all knew that wasn't true, but their purpose was to fuck with Ethan and to discredit and malign Ethan. It didn't matter if it was true. That's what I learned from this situation. I was like, oh, these people don't care about what's true. They don't care about what's true. They just want to make this man's life a living hell. So during this conversation with Taylor, she says to me, the CPS stuff, because I had said to her, in addition to the CPS thing, before that, they were spreading this lie that he killed Shredder. And this is what she fucking says. The CPS stuff is definitely not okay. And of course, Ethan didn't mean to kill his dog. Does that sound like someone who doesn't believe Ethan killed his dog? Or is this someone who thinks he has believed the lie and thinks he accidentally killed Shredder? Ethan didn't mean to kill his dog, but he did. And also to say, the CPS stuff isn't okay, but he's directed a lot of hate at people. So what, he deserves to have CPS called on him? And why did he start lashing out at people? It wasn't out of nowhere. He isn't doing it to every pro-Palestine streamer. He's doing it to his friend who fucking abandoned him out of fear of retribution from his audience, which we are now seeing being weaponized against Ethan. And I said, he didn't kill his dog. And she just goes, right. I know you can't read subtext and DMs, but that feels like she said, sure, Jan. Go ahead and believe he didn't kill his dog. Like, how can you think that he would do
She did basically just go, okay, sure.
that? Like, they have dehumanized Ethan to the point that they think he would kill his literal pride and joy and not care. Hila wore black for months after Shredder died. This literally was like their child. And she is just callously believing that he would kill his dog because, hold on, let's scroll up here and see what she accused me of. I haven't
Oh, we actually got a title. No thumbnail yet, but he finally apologized. H3 show number 152. Interesting. I wonder what that could be in reference to.
consumed the same Reddit content as you. Well, now I know what Reddit content you're consuming. Because the only people who think Ethan killed Sweet Shredder are people who are deep in the H3 hate brigade, in the snark subreddits, in Hassan's camp. I was like, if you think he did, that's crazy. Like, if you think he did, girl. And then she says, the dog had liver failure or something. No, kind of trying to rationalize it. Like, no, he definitely killed him. He gave him liver failure. And I said, kidney disease. You don't know anything. You don't know anything about the fucking situation. It's very sad. I cannot imagine he wanted his dog to die. Again.
And yeah, saying someone purposefully gave their dog a liver failure or kidney disease doesn't make any sense. And it's a weird angle to try and be like, well, yeah, he did do it actually.
Not saying he didn't kill his dog. She seems to believe that Ethan did inadvertently, accidentally do something to kill his dog. Even though they went to vets for months and months and months, specialists, they did all kinds of crazy tests, all kinds of crazy treatments to try and save this fucking dog's life. And they were told that it had nothing to do with anything they were doing. Shredder just had bad kidneys. And like, as if people don't blame themselves enough when an animal dies, like their pet dies. This is like psychological torture to do to somebody. And then on top of this, they then start targeting his kids and trying to get his kids taken away from him. How is any of this helping anybody in Gaza? How is any of this making things better between Israel and Palestinians? This is psychotic. I cannot imagine he wanted his dog to die. Fucking unreal. Like, just... I said, they tried for over a year to get diagnosed. So that's my info about Taylor, is that I tried to get her to cover this story, and she hit me with like the deepest snark lore, the deepest snark take, which is that Ethan fucking killed his own dog. Isn't Shredder the one that had something to do with the basement? Didn't Shredder essentially save their lives because of the basement thing? Yes. So they had some sort of a leak in their basement, and Alfredo, their other dog, wouldn't go downstairs, I believe. But Shredder did. Or no, Alfredo would go down because he's dumb. Shredder wouldn't go downstairs because he knew something was wrong. I think that's what it was. One of the other dogs stopped going into the basement, and that dog used to go with them all the time downstairs. Because that's where their studio was. And there ended up being, it might have been a mold situation because there had been a leak. I think that's what it was. It wasn't gas. And Shredder could smell it, or Fredo could smell it. One of the dogs could smell it, apparently, because he just stopped fucking with the basement. And that was why they were like, that's really weird. And then people talked about it on the subreddit, like, yo, dogs know when things are up in basements, and you should get it checked out and like tested. And they did. And they had to get like a bunch of shit redone in the basement because of this horrible leak. So yeah, you know a lot of this stuff, Victoria. So yeah, I've been sitting on this since March because Taylor wasn't really front and center, but recently she has started defending Hassan publicly and just like straight up lying about things. And I was like, oh, that's really weird, because she tells somebody that she was only following tangentially while she tells me that she is, at the center of everything, talking to close friends and people he works with. Like, so she lied to me, or she lied to this other person, or she lied to both of us. So I have a hard time believing anything she's saying right now. It was a whole thing for weeks on the show. Yes, it was crazy. So that's the situation with them. Thank you to everybody for listening to that crazy shit. Basically, that's my little piece. To me, it just adds more weight to the fact that maybe Taylor, like Hassan, is more a propagandist than a journalist, and is more interested in pushing the narrative than like the objective truth. because what she believes and what she's saying is not the truth. And that feels like snarker behavior, because Snark has pushed many lies about Ethan. They've also taken over like 10 subreddits, become moderators, and auto-ban anybody from commenting that has posted in the H3 subreddit. So they've just like spread out to these random subreddits like FOMOA. I think, is Livestream Fail one? Or maybe not. There's like, the YouTube drama one. They have a bunch of big pages that they have just locked down into echo chambers to talk about Ethan. I never watched Leftovers, so I don't know enough. But I was sat for Frenemies and the weekly streams. I keep meaning to go back and try to understand the Leftovers Hassan, but it's so much. I know. I never watched Leftovers because, I mean, I know Hassan from like the Young Turks, and I never liked him. He gave me big misogynist vibes and always just seemed condescending, but in a way that it was clear that he didn't really know much. Like he was just parroting like buzzwords and like, you know, $10 words. So those segments were never interesting to me. I also think he doesn't have much charisma. Talk to people who directly work with Ethan, lie, and some of our mutual close friends, Ian and Anissa, who I'm not even going to get into that, but that's probably.
Sorry, my mic was off for a second. I don't think she says much else. I'm trying to see a little bit if she says anything, because she brings up the messages again.
Probably who it is. This is absurd. You don't know any of the people involved, and you're telling me I'm not getting a full picture because I haven't consumed the same Reddit content as you. Meanwhile, you believe that Ethan killed his dog because of Reddit content you consume. Make it make sense. So yeah, I'm done with her. And I was shocked to see that this
Muted again. Let's watch the content cop on Taylor Lorenz. So I'm definitely, I don't think I'm going to be able to get through all of this because I'm going to talk through it, but a little bit of insight on who is Taylor Lorenz.
I'm here in New York City, the concrete jungle, home of literary lions, Wall Street bears, and reptilian reporters. But today, our focus is on one particular viper who sits at the highest steps of journalism. That is the New York Times building. And inside is a reporter who will suffocate your career like silent halon gas. They are a cobra of carnage. They are the worst reporter working in media. And I think it's time someone spoke out on their lies. Let's begin. That journalist is Taylor Lorenz. For those not familiar, she is a tech reporter for the New York Times that is frequently featured on the front page and read by millions of people who trust her opinion on millennials and Gen Z. But should they? Become one of the most.
I realized that. Oh my god! I keep muting it because of that. That's why I keep muting the mic. But what I was going to say is she? I don't know. Get your Israeli-American pins today.
But should they? Because Taylor has quickly become one of the most toxic, deceptive reporters working in American journalism. And it's time someone blew the lid off this on YouTube. She has a pattern of bullying, deception, targeted intimidation, and lies. And for YouTube, who is watching this video very carefully, this is not curator intimidation. This is legitimate professional criticism by a peer. Here's me doing a story with Ali Watkins.
So this is Ali Watkins, a reporter for BuzzFeed News. And I first became interested in this story.
Now at the New York Times. Here's me doing a story with Charlie Wazell.
So once everything healed, I decided that I needed to start.
Now at the New York Times. Here's me doing an investigative piece on academic fraud with Yahoo News. This will be a professional video. Look, this is Brooks Brothers. Here in New York, we try to elevate our discourse. So today we're going to document how Taylor attacks women, how, in my opinion, she manipulates teenagers with her power imbalance, and what makes her reporting so toxic to the YouTube community that it's time creators, influencers, and YouTube stop taking her press seriously. You see, Taylor Lorenz's reporting is like a fractal. In isolation, it appears chaotic and random. But the closer we look in this video, the more a recurring pattern will reveal itself. A pattern that shows this reporter is a clout chaser and a liar. In order to...
Sorry, I was talking, we were talking about what's happening upstairs. I wasn't talking about the video. I'm actually going to run it back just a few seconds because we're having some issues, you know what I mean?
To establish this reporter clout chaser.
Just so you can get an idea of what I'm dealing with right now. The reason you guys aren't hearing it that much is because I keep muting myself, but I keep muting myself too much, I feel like. So I'm trying to make sure I'm coming in and out, but...
And a liar. In order to establish this reporter chases clout, we must first use one of Mrs. Lorenz's own tricks and go back in time. A few weeks ago, Taylor Lorenz put out a fishing line for any dirt on Mr. Beast. She tweeted from her account of 250,000 followers.
Looking to speak to some of the world's biggest Mr. Beast fans, people who know everything about his content and have followed his every move. Is that you?
And I know not everybody spends their life on YouTube.
I guess I didn't say. It's not just the neighbors. They're putting in new carpet, so I don't think there's anything I can really do. Kind of just screwed. I'm waiting for each time they go, my knee hurts. And it'll take a couple seconds.
So for people with real jobs, Mr. Beast is one of the most family-friendly creators on YouTube. His real name is Jimmy. He's a young guy who lives in North Carolina and is known for giving away money to working class and service workers. He famously gave away lots of money to delivery drivers.
That's alright, yeah, that's alright.
Since you downloaded it, it's a good tip. Appreciate it.
But as a person with a media-trained eye, I can tell you this tweet is no friendly fishing expedition. She's like Captain Ahab aiming to harpoon Mr. Beast like a giant viral whale. Which, if she's a normal reporter, fine. But this reporter is more like a Soviet scientist who starts with the conclusion she wants and then searches backwards for any evidence she can use to fit that conclusion, even if it doesn't quite want to fit. And indeed, I was correct. My powers of prediction accurate. Because while I was working on this video, Taylor published this hit piece on Mr. Beast with all the accuracy of Soviet Lyshenko farming.
The fact that Taylor Lorenz is that, like, just that apparent, like, it's so clear what she does, every step of the way is kind of amazing. Like, come on. He was able to know that this is what you were going to come out with and, like, so easily probably be able to counter the claims that you're going to make. So, let's see. But, like, the fact that the girl with the microphone was able to get this text exchange with her, it's like, what are you doing, Taylor? Why are you interacting with with just random people on Twitter to try and get your information, acting like that's how to get the most insight? Because I'm sure that's what she meant when she was saying, like, I actually have been talking to people on the inside. I'm talking to people who work for Ethan. It's just like someone who hit her up on Twitter, like, I actually work for Ethan Klein, and I can tell you everything.
The story is roughly about Jimmy's idolization of Elon Musk, but also how Jimmy has a toxic work environment and allegedly degrades some of his employees. At least according to Taylor and her subject Matt Turner and Nate Anderson.
Now, all stories are like houses. Each narrative has a set of evidence that act as load-bearing walls that support the rest of the story. But Taylor is the cheapest contractor on planet Earth. The evidence, her load-bearing walls, well, her main subject, Nat Turner, has a history of contradicting himself.
Writing on Twitter, it was the most mentally degrading time of my life, and saying in Taylor's article, Mr. Beast used to degrade him every day and leave him in tears.
And then makes a video praising Mr. Beast.
If you have the opportunity to get this job that I had, totally take it. It's a lot of fun. Well, it was basically just like a friendship, and going to work was a blast each and every day. Mr. Beast, I love you, bro.
Magically, that video did not make it into her article. Her second load-bearing wall for this article is Mr. Beast's history of problematic slurs. Or, as she writes, his early videos and posts were criticized for their use of slurs and offensive jokes. The person who criticized Mr. Beast for his slurs and offensive jokes was Taylor Lorenz. I know this because this is not the first time Taylor has workshopped a hit piece on Mr. Beast. She's been trying to nail him for years. It's 2018 and Mr. Beast is searing to the top of YouTube like a SpaceX rocket. Taylor publishes this article. Mr. Beast has a history of homophobic comments. Extraordinary headline. You may have even seen it and judged Mr. Beast for it. But if we peer past the headline, her entire article is held up by 3 tweets. 3 tweets are her evidence for his history of homophobic comments. And the tweets are, I will read the examples. In 2015, he tweeted, "Windows is gay," I guess in regards to his computer.
Windows is gay and Mac is trans. We're all inclusive here.
2016, he tweeted, "I don't have a printer." And in 2017, he tweeted, "STFU." That's it. It's almost like this reporter wanted a provocative story on a big YouTuber, like here's her fishing line on Jake Paul, but all she could find were 3 tweets from his teenage years, so made a story around that. Rather than let go and acknowledging there's no story and Mr. Beast is not a homophobe, she wove those 3 tweets together like she's Joseph making a dream coat. Call me generous, but 3 tweets is not a pattern. It's nothing except for Taylor. The first thing we should know about this reporter, it's one of her reporting tactics, to mine newly famous people's Twitter accounts searching for anything negative they've ever written. I call it the Twitter trap.
The Twitter trap. The act of rifling through years of a person's tweets to assign negative meaning to someone's character. Select tweets are used to establish a pattern while omitting context or time elapsed between them. Can usually be done against anyone, a common tool of lowbrow journalism. Scientific term, cherry picking or p-hacking.
Taylor knows the Twitter trap well. It's why she auto-deletes all of her tweets every 90 days. She deletes them all and has for years. This New York Times reporter is too cowardly to stand by anything she tweets, but she has no problem mining it.
I do like the Twitter trap as its own subsection of cherry picking, though. I feel like that's an interesting kind of I don't know, that because I feel like that happens a lot where people will go, well, look at this one tweet they made, look at this tweet, look at this tweet. And yeah, individual tweets, especially from a long time ago, don't really equate to a person's whole character.
Decades worth of other people's tweets and assigning meaning to them that helps her make a viral story. And if the article she writes isn't enough to sink them the first time, she'll circle around and try it again a second time. Even if it requires citing a subject who contradicts himself.
Mr. Beast, I love you, bro.
In her own flimsy prior historic work. Windows is gay. Now, Taylor will say, because I'm no fool, that her reporting is made up of 11 people. Quick edit in for evidence.
Hey, you have to cite yourself. That's like when you're a kid and you're writing an essay and they tell you need to cite your sources at the end and you just put, I made it up. Well, I thought about it. I read it somewhere. I forgot to write it down.
I know Taylor will argue this because I have all of her Discord messages. Told you I had receipts.
These particular Taylor Discord messages came right after YouTuber Philip DeFranco had made a video also pointing out Matt Turner's video praising Mr. Beast and wondering aloud if Taylor was being entirely honest in her story.
But also now we're seeing a lot of pushback on social media against the claims in the Times article. And that's because of a now deleted video from Turner, who of course is one of the main accusers in this article.
Taylor was not happy with Philip DeFranco and started writing on Discord.
She writes, I spoke to 11 former employees, some very senior and close with Mr. Beast, and people who worked with him. So this is not like one person. But Taylor doesn't state whether those 11 former employees agree with the assertions in her article and what Turner, her main subject, says. Speaking of Turner, Turner posted that nice video about Mr. Beast, basically under duress. It's something I interviewed him about and talked to him about at length. Phil would know that if he did research or simply even asked me. So Taylor was aware that Turner had made a positive video praising Mr. Beast, interviewed him, spoke to him at length about it, and then chose to omit that fact in her article. And when it is pointed out that Turner, her main subject, has a video contradicting himself, praising Mr. Beast, she argues that, well, he made it under duress, even though I admitted the fact that I didn't include the video, nor the fact that he allegedly did it under duress with no evidence cited for that. And we would all know this, including Philip DeFranco, if we had simply had the presence of mind to reach out to this New York Times reporter directly to ask her for the full context of the story.
To ask her, did you make this stuff up? Where did you get this information? And she would just go, no, I didn't. It's actually the truth. And that's when you say, well, thank you, Taylor Lorenz. I can tell that you're a good person now. I don't know how. It's like, how is he supposed to get more information from her when he could just do his own journalism? Like, asking other journalists can be helpful in certain cases, but if Phil, I don't know what Phil's like main contention was, but if he's pointing out that she's like not, you know, if he's pointing out that the article isn't making sense, why would he reach out to you to, like, I guess maybe for clarification, but it's New York Times. Probably didn't expect you to respond, to be completely honest. But Taylor will respond to anybody if she feels deeply enough about it. That's the thing. You just have to, like, catch her in the right light, you know? Stir up the right kind of emotions and she'll respond. Did we get a thumbnail yet? Oh, we did. He finally apologized, and it's DMs. These are through text. This isn't through Instagram. I wonder what they think.
Because she left out half of it.
Bruh.
Now, I won't read too much more of this. I think people have a right to trash talk on Discord, but I will include a few quotes. Philip DeFranco, if you're wondering how Taylor talks about you behind your back, she writes, "This is gross of Phil and shows how these big rich creators don't want any accountability." She's referring to the video you made. It further emphasizes how these big creators have never and will.
I had to look up the term, but journalism can only be good, like citing a journalist only works if they're doing gonzo journalism. I had to make sure that was the term. That's like what Hunter S. Thompson did, like going and writing with Hell's Angels and stuff. Like, doing stuff like that is when you can actually get the journalist's perspective, because they're actually getting insight into the actual, like, world that they're talking about. But otherwise, yeah, just go to the actual people. Go talk to Mr. Beast himself and go, "Hey, Mr. Beast, why did you say that Windows is gay? You used the F slur a few times. It's bad, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm pretty sure, how old was he when those tweets went out? I bet you he was under 18.
Will never hold their peers accountable. And I guess the case doesn't factor into her opinion. Many of these big YouTubers also boosted Dobrik for years, and Jake Paul even before that. It's really frustrating and maddening coming from Philip DeFranco, who postures as a journalist and even takes journalism grants for his channel. Okay, I'm in a Twitter war with Philly D. Now him, LOL. I hope you guys give Phil a piece of your mind. It's super gross to see him act like this and push right-wing, anti-mainstream media rhetoric. Well, Philip DeFranco, your actions are gross. You're pushing anti-right-wing mainstream media rhetoric, and she'd like her fans to give you a piece of their mind. Now, I realize you two, Philip DeFranco and Taylor, made nice in the DMs. I know this because I had the Discord messages, but I thought it might be fascinating, Philip DeFranco, or Philip DeFranco's audience, or this audience, to understand how Taylor talks about people behind their back.
Also, interesting to note Taylor employs the tactic of sicking her fans on someone when they say something she dislikes, a tactic that is widely viewed as gross and harassment when done by influencers in the YouTube community.
Oh, before you leave, can you turn...
I mean, it's quite literally inciting harassment, so... They really need to stop. They stop right when I'm done talking. Come on.
I won't air any more Discord messages. That's enough of this. I tell you this Mr. B story because it sets the tenor of her reporting. Negative and manipulative. It establishes this New York Times reporter will seek to find a pattern where none exists, will assume the most negative intent from an ambiguous situation, Windows is gay, and run stories where her main subject contradicts her own thesis.
Mr. Beast, I love you, bro.
But most importantly, she will disregard the journalism principle minimizing harm. Taylor Lorenz doesn't care whom she harms on her quest for virality. And we're just getting started. The same year Mr. Beast was labeled a homophobe, two entrepreneurial women, Jackie and Claudia Oshry, were growing the Instagram account Girl With No Job. It was their livelihood. And if you're a female millennial, you may even be wondering, oh yeah, what did happen to Girl With No Job? Taylor Lorenz is what happened to Girl With No Job. Taylor Lorenz boxed for views. For some reason, Taylor Lorenz's clout radar locked on to Jackie and Claudia Oshry. I'm not sure why, and neither is Claudia. Perhaps it has something to do with them being young, successful, entrepreneurial women. Taylor seems to have a pattern of attacking them, but more on that later. Like Mr. Beast, this reporter saw an opportunity to cash in on Girl With No Job's virality. She began digging into the private lives of these young girls. It's so much easier when your subjects are young. Am I right? Did she find Claudia or Jackie breaking the law? No. Did she find Claudia or Jackie doing anything morally wrong? No. However, as usual, this reporter did discover some mean tweets they wrote as teenagers.
Taylor again using the Twitter trap despite deleting her own tweets.
But even more juicy, she learned the name of Claudia and Jackie's mom, Pamela.
I don't understand that either. You want to hold someone to tweets they made. Okay. My thought on that would be that you're saying that since they didn't delete them, they still stand by them. Like, if you cared about this stuff now, you would go back and delete the bad stuff you said or whatever. But to care about someone's deleted tweets seems extra weird because you're like, they're going back on it. They went back on those statements and took it back. Like, come on. Come on, chill out.
Geller. And Pamela Geller was a Trump supporter and an Islamophobe. Taylor found out who Claudia's mom was.
I don't know who finally apologized. What do you think, H3 last week? I'm sure you have an idea. Let's see if we can decipher what these messages are. That looks like it might be an H. How? It's like how something. Yeah, we can't do it.
And then used Claudia's mom's name and history as a weapon against her, to build a negative viral story around her. And that story was to expose their mother-daughter relationship to the entire world, publishing the article, Instagram Stars Hiding Their Famous Muslim-Hating Mom, Pamela Geller. The story immediately broke waves the size of the San Andreas Fault. It's a scoop, yes, but one we should all feel gross about, because Taylor publicly boxing Claudia's mom forces a situation where the daughters must respond by one, either publicly disowning their mom in order to save their Instagram account and brand, or two, choose not to publicly disown their own mom, but create the perception that they now tacitly approve of their mom's kooky beliefs. Taylor knows this and sticks the metaphorical knife in them, writing, quote, none of the girls have spoken out or denounced their mother's extremist views. In fact, the daughters had gone to great lengths to conceal their connection to their mother. Family photos, including their mother, have been stripped from their Instagrams. Like the Mr. Beast article, this story reads like the reporter wanted a negative story on Claudia and then sought out anything they could use as evidence to push her in a bad light. In this case, her mom. A story exposing the sins of someone's parents, but not them, telegraphs a desire for clicks and hurt for these women. And this article hurt Claudia badly. Verizon Media canceled her show, her agent dropped her management dropped her, partnerships dropped her career was effectively over. But worse, this reporter's story possibly recklessly put Claudia and her sisters in danger. 6 months prior to Taylor publicly exposing Claudia and Jackie as Pamela Geller's kids, the FBI had caught an reporter plotting to murder Pamela Geller. Someone was actively trying to kill. A person was actively trying to murder Pamela Geller when Taylor publicly went, oh hey, by the way, those are her kids, to the world. Perhaps the daughters, as public figures, had a legitimate safety reason for hiding their relationship with their mom from the public beyond just their brand deals. They didn't want to get killed. So Taylor went after Mr.
You didn't need to hear me. I put up a poll. Make sure you vote. Who finally apologized? Was it Hassan, Ian, iDubbbz, Noah Sampson, or is it clickbait? Right now, Noah Sampson is in the lead behind clickbait. I think clickbait is the most simple answer. It's going to be like Ethan apologizing for blowing up the bathroom or something. You know, it's a. I don't think it's going to be anything too serious.
Mr. Beast for a few problems.
Ooh, if it's Oliver Tree, really threw a wrench into it now. I can't go back on the poll. I also can't add more than 4, so.
Problematic tweets, and went after Claudia and Jackie for a problematic mother, which is funny because Taylor knows all about problematic takes. In 2017, Taylor was at the Charlottesville rally and reported that the hate-filled driver who mowed into a group of people and murdered a person did it essentially, according to her, on accident. Tweeting after she spoke to the police, quote, "Anyway, several police officers here at the station think the guy running people down wasn't malicious. They said the driver was scared." Thank you for that, Taylor. Now, I know Taylor tried to delete these tweets, but she dug up Mr. Beast's tweets, so I'll dig up hers. She goes on to say that the counter-protesters, or as the media would later deem non-violent protesters, were, quote, according to her, the car is being swarmed by protesters, some of them who are getting violent. The police say the car was covered in dents and apparently hit by a bat. They're throwing rocks, bottles, and shoes. But when her reporting, and these tweets later did not fit the dominant narrative, she deleted her problematic reporting, tried to scrub it off the internet. She deleted these tweets and pretended like she never made a big mistake. Or was it a mistake? Given what she recorded, wrote, and then deleted, either she was an incorrect witness, misreported what she saw, then deleted her problematic reporting and tried to pretend like she never said anything else, or she tweeted a narrative of events, and when that narrative of events contradicted the prevailing narrative enough, she wanted to be on the correct side of history and decided she would just try to scrub her problematic reporting, erase it, and quietly go with the new narrative and act like she never said anything differently. Which, as we know, this lack of accountability and waffling on what is the true story is the kind of journalistic ethics we would expect from the prestigious New York Times. But the larger question is, why did this reporter editorialize her own narrative on top of the footage she was already filming for The Hill? Like her tweets, I found her live stream. And the video reporting is fine. The video captures accurately what occurred. But then she tweeted that protesters violently swarmed the car, throwing rocks, bottles, and shoes, only to magically delete those tweets and claim she was live streaming to over 3 million people when that's false. Anyone can check the actual number is 1.3 million, which seems like a small lie, but Taylor lies everywhere. That's what I'm getting at. It's easier to catch Taylor lying, this New York Times reporter lying, than a T-ball tossed by a toddler. So along with her lack of accountability and waffling on stories or numbers, the digging up of other people's tweets, the doxing of people's moms, I'm starting to get the vibe that maybe this reporter is a bad actor and has a problem telling the truth. In the past 2 months, Taylor has at least twice publicly lied about Netscape founder Mark Andreessen. Taylor has at least twice publicly lied about Netscape.
You couldn't hear what I said, but I said, talk about an egghead. My God. Sounds more rude the second time because, my Lord. His head is so pointy on top. Like, just like blur your vision and tell me it doesn't look like an egg, like a brown egg. Amazing. Organic.
Netscape founder Mark Andreessen. 2 big factual errors for a New York Times reporter. But she lies over really small things too, which in my opinion destroys her credibility when covering big subjects. Here is an example that distills the banality of this reporter's dishonesty, and one she cannot wriggle out of. After getting hired by the New York Times, this reporter subtweeted a colleague.
He does look like Coneheads. See, I can say that because when I was born, I looked like a Conehead when I got pulled out because they grabbed my fucking head and squeezed it. Egghead pride.
A female writer named Zeneb. For those unfamiliar, Zeneb is one of the most well-respected writers by readers and experts alike. She was way ahead in the COVID data, thoughtful, switchblade smart, curiously, also like Claudia, is a successful woman. So what's the story here? Okay, Zeneb 2 years earlier had called our reporter unqualified to report on social media, and Taylor never forgot it. 2017, Zeneb had wrote, her responses to Tressie were condescending, ignorant, and rude. She deleted them, so you can't see how out of line she was to someone who was politely commenting. Tressie is brilliant, and Taylor's utter rudeness was just unacceptable. I'm surprised the journalist is surprised. To me, that's a sign she's unqualified to report on the attention economy. 2017, 2 years later, Taylor Lorenz begins subtweeting her, but a New York Post reporter named John Levin recognizes Taylor chirping at Zeneb and calls it out. And what follows is the most mind-numbing spat we can imagine. Mind-numbing but important, because it reveals Taylor's dishonesty over even the most trivial subjects. Our New York Post reporter calls out Taylor Lorenz chirping at Zeneb on Twitter. Taylor responds and then blocks the New York Post reporter on Twitter. The New York Post reporter screenshots he's just been blocked by Taylor and tweets out the irony. But then Taylor unblocks him and tweets, "You're literally not blocked. Stop trying to make things up. It's so desperate. Lol." And then adds to her followers, "This guy literally photoshopped being blocked by me to try to get clout. LOL. Like how desperate you gotta be." Which, ouch. Therefore, the New York Post reporter now has to respond to defend his credibility.
Imagine really being this desperate to just look like... I mean, imagine just being this desperate to lie about everything. Like, why? Be like, yeah, I blocked you. You're fucking lame. That's what I'd say. I wish it was the FBI at my door, honestly. At least it'd be over quickly. Like, this is taking... like, putting in carpet. Hurry up. It's been this way for days.
And tweets, "Taylor Lorenz is accusing me of photoshopping this," which is a lie. She is a reporter for the New York Times.
Okay, so this problem is simple and binary. Either the New York Post reporter is lying, or the New York Times reporter is lying. One of these reporters is lying, but which one is it?
I spoke to someone on background who worked with both Taylor and John at Mike, and they can confirm the New York Post reporter did not Photoshop anything. And I was able to locate Taylor's DMs to John, which show Taylor literally DM'd John right after he said he had not Photoshopped anything, and said, "Do I need to block you again," in all caps. Thus confirming she had indeed blocked him and was lying about the entire thing the whole time. And then when John doesn't take down that he's not Photoshopping anything.
This is why you don't lie so often. If you want to tell a little fib here and there, a little white lie, never hurt anybody. No, but like really, when you lie, you end up just building this fucking web that you get stuck in. Like, she just can't keep up with all the stuff that she says. So she's like, every time that she talks, she's like completely like fucking herself over based on like some other lie that she told days before, or weeks before, or months before. And we saw that in the other video when she was talking about like, "Oh, do you know what's going on with Ethan? I haven't really been following anything." And then months prior, telling the girl with the camera, "Oh, I've been doing some deep research, talking to people who work with Ethan." Come on.
The messages become bizarre. She starts harassing him and acting on behind the scenes. 4 hours later, "Thank you for the help. I appreciate it." Smiley face. 5 minutes later, "Could you retweet this one too, please? Thank you. Really appreciate it." Prayer hand, prayer hand, prayer hand. It's sarcasm. And then finally, when he still has not responded, at 8:03, ha 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 ha. "So funny you can't tell what's a joke. Lol, I'm dying." No, she got caught lying.
After publicly lying about another reporter, she then taunts that reporter about her lies and DMs him unsolicited.
Are these... Oh my god. I didn't even like think about it. Did they like delete their messages? I really hope they deleted their own messages that will like made this a back and forth. Because like September 24th, 12:52, September 24th at 1 p.m. Then October 2nd at 4 p.m. and then October 2nd at 4 p.m. 5 minutes later. And then 8:03 on this day, whenever the we'll just say this is October 3rd or whatever. Come on.
Solicited sarcastic messages. This reporter is willing to call another reporter a liar and knowingly lie to her own audience to try and win an argument. This small but instructive conversation was difficult to pin down because, again, Taylor deletes all evidence of her tweets. Tweet deleted, tweet deleted, tweet deleted, tweet deleted. But then I found a female software developer named Mason Hartman who shared an eerily similar experience with Taylor. Writing, at one point, she even falsely claimed that I had photoshopped a screenshot that I had taken of a man making a fairly horrifying comment about me. Once she realized that several other people had seen the tweet I had screen capped, she deleted the accusation and disappeared. When it's a woman she dislikes who's receiving nasty comments online, her first impulse is to claim with absolutely no evidence whatsoever that woman is lying. She's too often the perp or enabler. So the fact that we can confirm Taylor has lied twice in the exact same pattern and then deleted her tweets to try to erase the evidence means she likely does this frequently. This reporter is willing to call another reporter a liar and knowingly lie to her own audience, and when caught lying, her inability to acknowledge she was lying should be worrisome to any reasonable reader. What else is she willing to lie about? Personal anecdote. But when I was trying to confirm a few details on this, I had an editor call my phone number, which was not public, asking why I wanted to know. People are literally scared of calling out Taylor. They don't want to lose their jobs because she calls people's bosses. To close out this chapter, I'll share what Zeneb wrote in response to Taylor. Quote, I don't care about being subtweeted. No need to tag me, obviously. But just for the record, I'm not a journalist. As per your subtweet, and neither is Tressie. And we like our facts. Here's what had prompted my reply to you. You had completely missed her, as usual, super smart point. Zeneb, September 24th, 2019. So Zeneb was defending a woman, while Taylor, again, was attacking another one. Younger viewers may remember during the last year of the Trump administration, Kellyanne Conway's 15-year-old.
A really good point, all gone. Real facts. Thanks, guys. I was really spitting. I was on mute. It doesn't matter. Fuck it, I guess. The point was... what even was the point? What's the point of lying when Oh my god. Fucking hell. Curse you. What's the point in lying to people that know that you're lying? She was lying in public to a person that knew that she actually blocked them, and then tried to gaslight him into I don't know, to crazy make, I guess. My god.
Daughter Claudia making eye-popping TikTok videos about her family. These videos were frequently intense, dramatic, and unsettling.
I have people supporting me right now. Don't touch my phone. My live stream.
You need to turn it off right now. Then we'll get back to it. I gotta tell you something. You can get back to it. Turn it off. Hi. Turn it off now, baby.
No, I'm not okay. Thanks, guys, though.
Sure. Before you get it all over the sheets that I cleaned.
Can you stop?
No, you don't ignore me. Asshole. I text them all day long. And they're paying attention to you because they know.
And these videos would frequently go viral. And the initial viral boost behind Claudia's videos? New York Times reporter Taylor Lorenz, who was sharing these videos with her 200,000 Twitter audience, saying, quote, "Claudia is not holding back," end quote. Now, of course, Taylor has deleted her promotional tweets in an attempt to hide that she ever did this.
We ended that poll. I'm going to throw up a new poll now about when the podcast is going to start. We think we're going to be late today. This seems very Warzone-y, so I don't know.
Predictable. But I found Bustle's reporting, Slate Magazine's reporting, Business Insider's reporting, Washington Examiner, quote, "In June, Claudia had about 31,000 followers. After Taylor boosted her celebrity to hundreds of thousands of Twitter followers, Claudia's own TikTok following skyrocketed to nearly 650,000 followers." So we know Taylor was boosting Claudia, even if ever since she's tried to hide it. Again, interpersonal family problems are rarely solved in front of the public, particularly when you have a New York Times reporter promoting the drama for sport. Indeed, people criticize this adult New York Times reporter for sharing 15-year-old Claudia's videos, and Taylor's response.
They really did just postpone 30 minutes. I guess I'll wait to put the poll up then, because now we know that it's going to take a minute. So I'll put the poll up in probably 10-15 minutes. Because sometimes they push it forward and then start a little early, late still, but you get what I'm saying. But at least someone's on top of it and actually pushing it forward, so it keeps the fans in check. They can't be late if they push it back, like Creator Clash. Beautiful stuff.
Response, Taylor argued that she had done nothing wrong because she and Claudia were, quote, mutuals, end quote, and that Claudia, quote, literally talked to her, end quote, about getting more followers. So, a New York Times reporter is just graciously helping teenagers get more followers on TikTok. Or is it more likely that the favor of promotion by a New York Times reporter will be used as leverage to extract information from teenagers if they become valuable as sources like Claudia? I think the term is power imbalance. Taylor Lorenz creates a power imbalance. But even when 15-year-old Claudia's dad, George, pleaded with the media to desist from contact with her daughter, Taylor continued. George, quote, to journalists, "Kelly and I do not consent to any communications between you and our minor children, including our daughter Claudia. So desist." Even after that, Taylor continued to amplify his daughter's posts. Why? Because establishing a, quote, mutual, end quote, as she calls it, relationship with 15-year-old Claudia is not an anomalous event. It seems to be Taylor's MO, like when she established contact with 15 or...
Wait, grooming? Oh, can I not say that? Ooh. Word not allowed on YouTube. What if I have a pet channel? I'm just trying to do dog haircuts.
seems to be Taylor's MO, like when she established contact with 15 or 16-year-old AJ Mitchell in 2017, so she could use him as a source when he turned 18 in her article, Jake Paul Promised Them Fame, Was It Worth the Price? Or 17-year-old who was given quotes in one article and then felt pressured to say something negative about another person in the second article. You see, this New York Times reporter likes to talk about TikTok.
I did it again, great. Ethan just sent me a video of him brushing his teeth with no shirt on. So I don't think we're starting in 7 minutes, yeah, so. That was obviously a little bit ago because they didn't start. But we might be here for a second. At least we have some time to maybe finish the video.
TikTok is a hot topic, and a lot of TikTokers happen to be very young people. Now, does this New York Times reporter approach reporting on young people with the thoughtfulness and grace we've come to expect from her? No. Taylor told Digiday that the parents of the teens she talks with for her stories, quote, often aren't fully aware, end quote, that she's in touch with them. Allow me to quote the article. The biggest, most challenging thing about my job is getting teenagers to talk to me on my phone or having them let me into their house. A lot of kids don't want anything to do with it, especially if their parents aren't fully aware of what they're doing.
As a formality, do you mind if I tape on my end? I'm not gonna name you. I'll keep you anonymous. It just
for sure.
were you like hopping on calls? Like these were phone calls, right? You were talking with Taylor. Yeah, and your mom was listening too, right? Or no?
No, my mom was not listening.
Oh, okay. So did Taylor ever reach out to your mom?
No, she never reached out to my mom.
She just went straight to you.
Yes.
Did that strike you as odd?
For me?
Yeah.
For me, it didn't too much just because of, you know, like 2021, like everyone reaches out to everyone somehow these days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that's what a 16-year-old would think. Like, that's just the way of the world now. Back in the day, the 16-year-olds would be like, oh, so what if he's a 35-year-old man? He's sending me carrier pigeons. That's the way of the world.
So, I mean, like, I kind of understood that in a sense. But then again, I also kind of saw it coming because I knew that she was kind of working on the article. So, like, I was kind of, like, told, like, oh, you, like, watch out if you get this message because, like, you should respond to it.
Oh, okay. So, wait, one of your friends told you that, or like one of the?
Yeah, no, one of my friends.
Okay, so was like, hey, Taylor's working on an article. Respond if she messages you.
Yeah.
If their parents aren't fully aware of what they're doing. Luckily for Taylor, quote, women have the advantage here. I think it's much easier for me to slide into these people's DMs in a non-threatening way than from a male journalist in his 30s kind of DMing random teen girls. So I definitely use that to my advantage.
That is extremely creepy. To say, it might be, it's easier for me because I'm unassuming. Like, that's so, like... She's not even saying she's not as bad. She's like, I don't appear as bad.
I definitely use that to my advantage. She uses her gender and her well-developed social skills to establish connections with minors so she may mine them for material or as sources without their parental knowledge. I don't really use email. My Instagram DMs is the first thing I check in the morning. I want them to feel casual enough that they could message me at any time. Here's a text of a 17-year-old TikToker saying they're scared of Taylor. Which is not that unreasonable if you're a 17-year-old TikToker talking to a 36-year-old New York Times reporter who has the power to make or break your reputation for the foreseeable future. I think the term is power imbalance.
I didn't have really any conversation with her.
Okay, with the New York Times one?
Yeah, Taylor. She was trying to convince things and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, it's difficult because was a kid. I mean, 16, now 17.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know the whole story of what her either.
Okay.
I can't remember. But she was not saying nice things about that wasn't nice.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that she had called several times.
Okay.
Okay. Which is not cool.
Yeah. Huh. And then it looked like, I guess I don't want to take up all, your entire day. It just looked like Taylor talked and something like, she was after she had an agenda, and then they spoke, really say anything negatively, and then make it into the article.
Yeah, I mean, then she started going out.
Oh, really? What did...
Yeah, I believe so. Like, I don't think she was getting what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can think of,
Right, and then so she started going after. Did you?
Well, just not going after.
Right, metaphorically, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's over. Those beeps were so loud. Ryan Beard addressed Bad Empanada? Ooh. Let me look up that real quick. I'm going to keep this playing.
Any reasonable juror would conclude repeatedly using her power as a New York Times reporter and her age and skills to extract stories and drama from teenagers again and again so that she can materially benefit from her job is a form of unsavory objective. Again, I'm not the first person to raise eyebrows here. People criticized her in March for being a 36-year-old reporter who slides into the DMs of
Oh my god, I did it again! How am I so bad at this? Amazing. Great stuff. But here it is. Let's do it. Let's read it now. And my cat's going crazy on his little thing right here too, so there's that noise as well. We're just having a big cacophony of noises right now. Isn't that great? Dude. To Bad Empanada and the people from his community who keep coming to harass me, let me make my position clear. I believe Bad Empanada is an anti-Semite because he has very clearly stated on multiple occasions that 1. Jews are not oppressed, 2. The left should care less about anti-Semitism, 3. Anti-Semitism is not on the rise, and 4. Jewish people need to stop talking about the trauma of the Jewish community. I believe that these 4 positions serve to embolden and uphold anti-Semitism, even if Bad Empanada claims that he is just trying to be pro-Palestinian and anti-Zionist. However, that obviously does not mean that I support Zionism or the genocide in Gaza or the people who weaponize accusations of anti-Semitism in bad faith to try and discredit the pro-Palestinian movement. And I agree with Bad Empanada that Ethan Klein has done this from time to time. Ethan Klein has done and said a lot of things I find harmful, and I'm currently working on a project diving deeper into all my criticisms of Ethan Klein as a person. No, I will never speak to Bad Empanada because one of my principles is that you don't reward someone who constantly doxes and harasses his political opponents by giving them what they want and speaking with them. That's all I have to say for now. So it sounds like Ryan's making his own content nuke Ethan Klein. Interesting. I'm interested to see that. Once it comes out, I'll definitely check it out. I find Ryan Beard to be a bit impartial. Thank you. I find Ryan Beard to be more impartial on topics, which is good. So I feel like he'll be able to do this topic some justice. What do you think? Come on, say something. Say something. Come on. Come on. Really? Nothing at all? You talk all day. He doesn't want to be here. He doesn't like to be held. He doesn't get aggressive that much. He sees all of you. Okay. Oh, there he goes. Little one? There you go. Okay. Let's get back to the video.
Teenagers. Her response? First tweet, her critics are full of, quote, bad faith bullshit. And then, of course, delete the tweet. So we have a reporter who rifles through other people's history looking for a negative narrative on them, deletes their own record of errors, doxes people's family members, misleads about the reach of the reporting and their quotes, and slides into the DMs of your teenage son's or daughter's Instagram account. I'm warning you, this reporter is on the prowl as we speak.
Had your kids, had your wife, and had your husband because
Taylor is DMing them. She's doing well.
Alright, I know we're like 30 minutes in. It's getting long, but we need to keep going. There's still some evidence that requires us digging up. It's gonna get good.
Do you think he did this just to get the free trip to New York? He's like, I'll make it part of the video and I can do it as a tax write-off.
New location, I'm traveling, but video must go on. In December 2019, Verge reporter Zoe Schiffer and friend of Taylor Lorenz published this incredibly interesting but terribly damaging article on the CEO of Away Luggage. The reporting detailed an environment of alleged intimidation and surveillance of its employees by its female founder and CEO, Steph Corey. And when the story dropped, emotional baggage former Away employees describe a toxic workplace, this was immediately cheerled by Taylor Lorenz. I remember
I said, oh, so it's literally just more examples of her doing the same stuff. Is there anything interesting in here? This right here is the most replayed part, so we'll watch this part to see what it is. But if it is just more examples, I think we're kind of understanding that she's just a liar who, I don't even know, does she have a fan base even? She just seems to be like very strategic in the way that she works with the New York Times.
Incoherent. I needed to re-record this because the first time I was low energy. Taylor Lorenz is emotionally draining. But this chapter is important because in this chapter we dismantle Taylor's reporting. On August 2020, Taylor published another damaging piece on a female businesswoman. The article was titled, "Making It Big Online, Getting Signed Isn't Everything." And the subject of this article was a woman named Ari Jacobs. And on casual reading, this article is good. It paints a compelling picture of talent manager Ari Jacobs and her content houses manipulating teenagers, misleading them, stealing money from them on their quest to fame. That's the thing about Taylor. She is extremely good at writing convincing narratives. She's like an agent in the Matrix. To the untrained eye, you would never notice the deception. But once you've been inside for a few years, you're like, wait a minute. Upgrade. Upgrades indeed. Taylor is no longer combing through old Twitter accounts, so allow me to poke some holes in Taylor's reporting and blow up this story.
Yeah, so it was after this video, because I was wondering, after this video, so this video was in 2021. In March 2022, Lorenz left the Times and joined the Washington Post as a technology and online culture columnist. And Ethan had said, so I wanted to look towards the end here. In August 2024, a Post began an interval investigation for evidence of bias after Lorenz shared an image on a private Instagram story depicting President Joe Biden with the caption, "War Criminals," frowny face, referencing a meme criticizing the president for his support of Israel in the Gaza war. Lorenz intentionally denied making the post and later said that a friend created the captioned picture, which Lorenz shared. Oh, so she's like, I didn't post it. I just shared the meme. That's so stupid. Yeah, you posted it on your story. That is a post. You just didn't make it in Photoshop or MS Paint or whatever. According to NPR, 4 people with direct knowledge of the post confirmed its authenticity. Lorenz never published another article for the post, which did not announce any findings of its investigation. In October 2024, she left the paper to focus on her own ventures. Lorenz told The New Yorker that her decision to leave the post was not a direct result of the incident, and that every single president that I have ever seen in my lifetime is a war criminal. I'm interested in what this means, though. Taylor Lorenz planned to dance on Legacy Media's grave. While we have the time, I guess. I ain't paying for this. It really does seem like she's just a liar. I'm just wondering what this means, though. So, she denied making the post, lied, obviously, like she does. But they began an internal investigation for evidence of bias. And I mean, she never published again. But they also never announced anything about their investigation. But they also never said that she was fired. So, or that she was like banned from the post or whatever. They just did an investigation on her, and she was like, "I'm gonna take a step back and start working for tabloid magazines." A real step up in journalism. In October 2024, Lorenz announced she was leaving the Washington Post to run a Substack publication called User Mag. Substack co-founder Hamish McKenzie told The Hollywood Reporter that she is an accomplished reporter with deep experience covering internet trends and culture. I'm sorry, but to say accomplished and deep experience in reference to internet trends and culture is kind of like, it's just like a nothing burger. Isn't like anyone under the age of like 35, I would say, probably they probably have not accomplished reporters, but they have a deep experience in internet trends and culture, and honestly might be an accomplished reporter if they started a Tumblr blog early enough. It happens. I'm just saying, to have deep experience with the internet trends is not like a it's not even something to be proud of, really. I was really afraid I was muted again for a second. Whew. Whew. Also, deep experience with internet trends and culture sounds like chronically online, if we're being honest. Just saying. Her views in April 2025 following the killing of health insurance CEO Brian Thompson. They really have the image? Damn. Oh, they really have the fucking image as the photo for the killing of this guy. They didn't like use a picture of him. I guess it's not about him, it's about his death. But during a CNN interview, Lorenz described the lead suspect in the case, Luigi Mangione, as morally good. Lorenz stated, "To see these millionaire media pundits on TV clutching their pearls about someone standing a murderer when this is the United States of America, as if we don't lionize criminals and stand murderers of all sorts, and we can give them Netflix shows." Lorenz's comments drew criticism, particularly from conservative politicians. I can see why people, in Hassan's orbit like stuff like this. Because like I'm saying, do you want to say that what he did was was an effect of the systems in place? Sure. But we should not be glorifying the murder of people. Even if they are heinous, we should want to hold them accountable for the crimes that they commit, for the ills that they have done. I'll put chronically online on my CV. Hey, what we call being a real internet explorer. My God, there's a lot of sources. I like that her personal life section is really short. Lorenz announced her engagement to Christopher Mims, a technology columnist at the Wall Street Journal, in January 2015. She identified herself as a vegan in 2022. She has said in interviews that she is immunocompromised. Oh, so she has a immunodeficiency. Oh, she's got HIV. Oh, she doesn't. That was a dumb bad joke. That was dumb. My bad. Oh God, I just spit on the table. I'm laughing too hard. See, I do think Ryan Beard might come at Ethan for his takes, his actual takes. But I do think realistically that it'll come from a place of actually pointing out the short-sightedness of certain perspectives or whatever, rather than just calling him a colonizer and saying that he's evil and this and that. I expect Ryan to do, I don't expect him, but I anticipate that he's going to do something pretty good. I do want to continue this, but I am seeing that it is just kind of the same thing. Oh, but there we go. This is the...
Like there's 80 pounds of tannerite inside it. First issue. Taylor, the New York Times reporter, is reporting on Ari Jacobs' management agency while not disclosing Taylor herself is signed to a competing agency, UTA. UTA is a direct competitor to Ari Jacobs' influences. Nor does Taylor disclose that a few months prior to this article, she had wrote a glowing article about UTA. And let me parry what the New York Times is going to say immediately, because I know how this game is played. They're going to say Taylor was signed to UTA prior to joining the New York Times and therefore does not need to disclose this conflict of interest to her readers. Convenient, but okay. Taylor does not disclose that her and Ari Jacobs had a friendly relationship prior to Taylor stabbing her right in the back. Here's a text where Taylor is thanking Ari Jacobs and hoping she's staying safe during COVID. Taylor writes that Gary Vaynerchuk is not associated with influences, but fails to disclose that Gary Vaynerchuk has a very personal relationship with Ari Jacobs of influences. Taylor fails to disclose these photos taken in the Girl in the Valley house. Those are interesting, huh? Taylor doesn't disclose that Tiana Singer, one of her subjects, has no management contract with influences. Taylor doesn't disclose that the house in question, the Girls in the Valley house, was Bella Thorne's house. Now, why wouldn't Taylor disclose that? Is that maybe because Taylor wants to preserve her own relationship with Bella Thorne while happily trashing Ari Jacobs? I think it is. Now, part of Taylor's problems, and she has many, may be because she didn't want to accept much on background. I know this because I have all of Taylor's emails. Taylor thinks she's...
Who is this guy? I looked at his account. He hasn't posted in like a year. He did some deep research for this.
She's the only person that can play this game. I know she moved to California where life is easy, and she can interview children. Welcome to New York. I can see that Taylor gave Ari Jacobs only 72 hours to respond to all these questions before publication, and then only 8 hours to respond to an entirely new set of questions prior to publication. Indeed, I can see that Taylor really wanted to nail Ari Jacobs because she was probing over missed rent payments, personal missed rent payments from 2018, to which Ari's lawyer humorously responded, "I fail to see the relevance to the claim here, when she has actually timely paid her rent on all content houses, and it is the kids who have in fact not paid rent at all. While I understand we aren't in a court of law, this would be deemed character evidence and circumstantial at best, and would be inadmissible in an actual claim. If factual, which I do not admit it is purely dirt being used to paint Ari in a negative light. And dirt used to paint Ari in a negative light seems to be the main goal of Taylor Lorenz's article. How do I know this? Well, a variety of ways. First, there was a little enterprising Mississippi reporter who talked about this subject, and he noted, Taylor chose to liberally quote some individuals who were promoting a negative narrative of Ari Jacobs while omitting or choosing not to quote Ari's own rebuttals to these characterizations. A good example of Taylor's unscrupulous reporting here is the line she writes in her article, "Gary Vee says he has no affiliation with influences. This is a jujitsu-like contortion to say something that is
A little bit of a fumble there, but yeah.
legally correct, but almost entirely false with context." But that is Taylor.
I think he meant to say judicial. I was trying to break it. I kind of fucked it up there. Judicial.
Way.
Or judiciary, maybe?
Legally correct to like no affiliation with influences. This is a jujitsu-like contortion.
Oh, jujitsu. Jujitsu. Oh, I was so confused as to what he said. I thought he was saying judicial, and I was like, how does that make any sense?
To say something that is legally correct, but almost entirely false with context. But that is Taylor's way. The full context, the actual context not provided with Taylor, is that while Gary Vaynerchuk has no business relationship with influencers company, Gary Vee does have a personal relationship with Ari Jacobs. A relationship I can document with video that shows Ari Jacobs and Gary Vee are close enough that one of Ari's clients received a brand deal for the Super Bowl directly because of her relationship with Gary Vaynerchuk.
That's the scoop? Wow. Yeah, wow. I couldn't wait to do this phone call because I get to go back a friend who I adore and change the course of somebody else's career who I enjoyed using very quickly. But I'm about.
He even added a little context bit down here. Really ahead of the curve.
To cry. Thank you so much. You're welcome. But I'll be honest with you, like, this is really about you and Ari for me. And honestly, I love art, but if this is a place where I can do something nice.
We're really excited that we were able to put this together. Gary and I have both known Ari for a very, very long time. We're huge fans of everything that she's up to out there and just her as a human being. So we're excited we're getting.
And these bullets of misleading statements are sewn like a scarlet letter throughout the article to needlessly obliterate Ari's character. Taylor reports the influencers signed by Ari Jacobs living in the kids next door house were told they would, quote, have to pay more in rent. Jacobs' lawyers responded to this allegation prior to the article in their emails and called it 100% false. Taylor ignored this. Indeed, the TikTok tenants, teenagers inside Ari's content house, had admitted to Ari and her lawyers that they had taken side deals with brands in order to deliberately cut out Ari and influencers of contractually obligated commission. One of the TikTok tenants, Jesse Underhill, said that another one, Marcus Olin, had told him to speak negatively about Ari to Taylor in order to avoid paying commissions or rent, indicating that if they were able to damage Ari and influences enough, they wouldn't have the resources to litigate the breaches in contract. Indeed, I have Jesse Underhill on record saying, "Is it true that you talked to Ari and wanted to move into the house after Ari's talk on the balcony at the content house?" Jesse: "Yes. Is it true that Taylor harassed, I am using that term closely, you to get negative info, dirt on Ari?" Jesse: Inadvertently, yes. She constantly asked for, quote, dirt on Ari and said that my statement would make or break the case. Is it true that Marcus advised you to talk to the New York Times to get out of your contract? Jesse: yes. I wasn't happy with Ari at the time and didn't want to be in the contract anymore. To speak negatively about Ari to Taylor in order to avoid paying commissions or rent, indicating that if they were able to damage Ari and influences enough, they wouldn't have the resources to litigate the breaches in contract. But I can go beyond that. I have another 16-year-old TikToker who's familiar with the situation on background, who says that Taylor spoke to she or he and said that speaking to her and giving negative information on Ari would really help them get Instagram verified. A little carrot on a stick, meaning if you help me, give me quotes, I'll put you in the article, that'll make you more famous and probably get you Instagram verified. But when the TikToker declined to say anything negative about Ari, Taylor told them she was disappointed in them and then took their quotes out of the article. This source is a minor, but I corroborated it with their parents. And I know anonymous sources are annoying. I don't want to have to use anonymous sources, but I am weighing the strength of the argument while simultaneously balancing the fact that I have multiple young TikTokers and reporters who do not want to go off background for fear of being retaliated against by Taylor in their future careers, which I don't think is entirely unreasonable given Taylor's history and track record of lying and deliberately going after people who disagree with her.
About the Toby said about the Instagram verification with Taylor, it was with Ari. Was talking about Taylor trying to, basically the same thing, get, bad information on Ari.
Said that Taylor had offered Instagram verification?
Yep. I mean, she said, again, my words were, she said, this will help you get verified, alluding towards the fact that she's going to help verify.
What does this mean? Like this article? Or
No, this article she's writing about, and it's maybe being involved in it.
okay, so implying this article that I'm writing will help you get Instagram verified.
Yes.
And then the other part was the, not dirt, but only wanted negative information.
But it's not even that difficult. I think by even looking at the footage, we can see Taylor's influence on these kids, as some of the TikTok influencers use very specific language that makes me think they got it from Taylor.
Waivers that anything.
Aren't you acting as an agency without a license, so all your documents are invalid? Aren't you acting as an agency without a license, so all your documents are invalid?
No.
Working illegally? You have a license.
Tiana, are you an attorney?
I'm legally smarter than you, apparently.
Let me be clear, they signed no talent agency contract with influences. They signed management or production contracts. A small but very important legal detail that Taylor seems to obfuscate in her reporting. Like Taylor obfuscates the fact that the TikTokers didn't call the police. Ari Jacobs called the police to the house. Taylor doesn't bother reporting that fact, just like Taylor does not bother reporting that someone spray painted Ari is a bitch inside the Girls in the Valley house. Now, some TikTokers say Ari Jacobs did this. Ari says some TikTokers did this. I'll let you decide. But I think it's important to point out those photos somehow never made it into the reporting. But what did make it in, and I think this is important because it shows the depths of Taylor's dishonesty, is a quote by Devion Young. A really mean and insidious quote that has no business being in the article, except again to hurt Ari's character. You see, Taylor quotes Drip Crib founder Devion Young, who says, Ari manipulates you. It's a nightmare, Devion Young said. He said she used nude photos of his to shame him. Quote, right before we parted ways, she leaked my nudes and sent.
I just realized it's 12:33 and we still haven't started. For real, Kaka Klein. Really, look at this. Right here, this is me. Boom. Right to him.
Sent them to business partners, people in my house, and potential investors to slander my name, saying I was unprofessional. But Ari did not leak Devion's nudes, and Taylor has to know this, because Taylor writes in the emails no one is alleging Ari leaked nudes. So Taylor knows Devion is likely lying to her. I have the emails. No one is alleging Ari leaked nudes, and then includes the quote, she leaked my nudes. What kind of reporting are we doing here? Because I also have the text between Ari and Devion regarding his nudes. You see, someone had made Ari aware that Devion Young's nudes were circulating on the internet. She then texts Devion to ask him, why are his nudes on the internet? And his response manages to be unbelievable, claiming that his phone was getting fixed, and therefore someone had access to his iCloud and leaked his nudes everywhere. These are the texts. You can read them. But even more compelling that something shady is taking place is the fact that all the allegations alleged by Taylor in her article against Ari Jacobs, curiously, the exact same allegations are alleged against Devion Young at around the same time. Let me quote. Multiple altercations have broken out between members of Drip Crib and its staff due to a total lack of income from any of its resident creators. Former residents complained that Drip Crib manager Devion Young is incompetent and extremely self-centered. Drip Crib has not made any payments on the mansion they rent since March. The property management company has been trying to entice them to leave or evict them, but has been unsuccessful due to LA's current COVID freeze on
not Deaf Noodles.
Evictions. Since March, no rent or utility payments have been received by the property management company. Drip Crib are unable to make rent payments because they are not landing gigs and brand deals they were initially promised by Devion Young. Instead, creators complain that Young has made the entire project about him and don't believe he cares about anyone else. Devion Young, who manages Drip Crib, has not been following through with payments to his creators and has expressed frustration to many that he is not being paid by creators for rent. Man, does that seem really similar to the allegations being leveled against Ari Jacobs in Taylor's article.
We went into thinking we'd have brand deals weekly or monthly, Mr. Olin said. We were expecting a quota where we could pay half of our rent through brand deals, but we weren't getting enough deals to cover our rent. That wasn't all. We didn't have working Wi-Fi for a month, said Jesse. We couldn't go live because our live stream would cut out. I used to get 3 to 5 brand deals a week. Since I moved in, it's 1 every 2 weeks, and they're lowballing. At the end of July, the influencers were told they would have to cover a larger share of the rent.
Since March, no rent or utility payments have been received by the property management company. Drip Crib are unable to make rent payments because they are not landing gigs and brand deals they were initially promised by Devion Young. Taylor makes no mention of the fact that
Okay, yeah, he is just going through each of these cases. Honestly, these are all very interesting. The fact that she has done it so many times, like withholding information and lying about people. And honestly, it's like these cases a lot of the time seem to actually have like some like purpose to be talked about, you know what I mean? And she's just taking the easy route, or I guess just the like opinionated route. But I do want to hear what the conclusion is.
Nor her gender, nor her value as Adam, or the American particular, the dictator, Taylor sourced, because I wanted to take her tweet seriously. Nor her gender.
There we go.
Taylor trolls for negative narratives on public figures to make her reporting go viral. And when she can't find any, she stitches them together with tweets, teenagers, and troubling quotes. She is quick to judge her subjects negatively, slow to divulge her own conflicts of interest, and rapid to use her gender as both a crowbar to verbally bludgeon women and as a shield to obfuscate accountability by men. She is a strategic promoter of her own work and a swift destroyer of other people's. In the court of public opinion, she is a bully, pushing people around on the playground. Okay, I'm in a Twitter war with Philly D. Now f him. I hope you guys give Phil a piece of your mind.
So funny, you can't
tell what's a joke.
You think she said all that stuff on the call because she thought she could get away with saying it to you?
When I was a teenager, I worked at McDonald's. I grew up outside a small Midwest town, and there were not a lot of job opportunities. And I can definitively say serving fries is not as romantic as dancing for TikTok. But I did learn honesty and integrity. I made many mistakes in my youth, but later, when I wanted to do more in my life, I moved to New York City in my car. I arrived in New York City with an old car, a $500 camera, and knowing nobody. I grabbed any journalism job I could find, and it took me years to make any money or meet people in the YouTube community. Now, not every entertainer is an angel, but when I watch a supposed star reporter for the New York Times...
You're so right. I watched that video too. It is about Ty Jewel. Ty Jewel did correct the record about Ethan's height. That's so true. I watched that video too, and Ty Jewel basically just said that he was mistaken, but at least he's making people consider their height more. Well, what he did wasn't lie about Ethan or defame Ethan. What he did was make Ethan more in touch with himself. Beautiful stuff.
So dishonestly right about YouTubers and TikTokers and people who maybe move to the city to chase a dream, get lied about and destroyed to fill copy in Sunday's paper. Man, does that make me despise that reporter. A reporter who makes their living pulling down the dreams of young entertainers and tech developers and lying about other people. And if she did it honestly, I would be the first to defend her work. But Taylor is dishonest and read by millions of Americans who take her and her accusations seriously. And there is real harm in that. So what can we do to beat it? Well, the simplest answer is to support the very women Taylor wants to suppress. Support Ari Jacobs, the female immigrant entrepreneur. Support Jackie and Claudia Oshry. Support Zeneb. Support Brandy. Support Mason Hartman. Steph Corey. Female writer Christy. Support the women Taylor tries to destroy. And finally, Taylor, because I know you're watching this video, I'm on a rooftop in the West Village, so life has been pretty good. But before Taylor responds, let me remind her who has the power and the privilege. I grew up in the Midwest and worked at McDonald's. She grew up in ultra-wealthy Greenwich, Connecticut, went to a fancy Swiss boarding school, and flouts around LA with the full backing of the New York Times while lying about women and other reporters. I am not the patriarchy. You are.
I don't wanna waste my time. Coming other casualties of society. I'll never fall in line. Coming other victim of conformity back down.
Our focus, besides not getting hit by cars,
don't count on me to let you know when. Don't count.
Isn't that a Sum 41 song? I used to love Sum 41 when I was a teenager. But here, we'll watch the Ty.
Hello, it's Ty Jewel. It turned out that I was wrong about.
Here, we gotta watch the Ty Jewel bit.
Hello, it's Ty Jewel. It turned out that I was wrong about Ethan Klein's height. He was actually right about his height. I thought that he was 5'9.5", but he was actually 5'10.5". Also, was a little wrong about Gila's height. I guess her at 5'8.5", but she got measured at exactly 5'9". I would have rounded up her height to 5'9", so at least my guess was close. Yesterday, the H3 podcast DM'd me on Instagram and sent me a video of his measurement from March 21st. He brought the Sika 213 speedometer for $200. He had on socks. He got measured at 5'10.5". The speedometer's rod went on the top of his head. Although I turned out to be wrong about Ethan's height, maybe it was a good thing that I made a video about his height and was wrong, because him buying a speedometer ended the speculation about his height, and he can use it to measure other people's height. Camera angles can be deceiving. When I see him next to other people, he can look like he's 5'10 instead of 5'11. I showed 2 pictures of him in my video about his height, but I actually looked at way more than that on his Instagram page. Usually when I guess people's height, I'll show 1 picture or 2 pictures of them to show how tall they are. But it can take me a long time to do research about somebody's height and find the right picture to use for a height comparison.
I had brought up when I first watched this, there's some guy on Instagram that just like measures people based on like, he'll use like the hinge in a door frame, find out the exact model of hinge that it is, the measurements of it, and then use that to measure a person based on pixels. And I'm wondering if that's what Ty Jewel does. It sounds like that's what he does.
When it comes to guessing height, if you can, try to find videos of somebody next to other people, because pictures can have more deceiving angles than videos. Although videos can have deceiving angles too. Guessing somebody's height based off a picture is good if the camera angle is good. If somebody's head looks too big or too small, or their proportions don't look right, that can be an indication that something is wrong with the camera angle.
He's right. But then I noticed this was interesting. He didn't just have that video that he updated. Right after that, how tall is Olivia Lopez? Is it Lopes? Lopes? Not Lopez. Lopes.
Hello.
Like earlobes. With a P instead of a B.
Hi, Joel. 3 months ago, somebody asked me to make a video about Olivia Lopez's height. I was going to do it, but I've been busy. She got her height measured at H3 podcast live stream, so I thought this would be a good time to make a video about her height. She had on socks. She got measured at 5'4.5".
Just straight to the point. There's a reason he has 15,000 subscribers. He doesn't bullshit.
I watch highlights.
of Indiana Fever facing Chicago Sky. Fever beat the team. They scored 93 points in
Where's part 1? Where's part 1? Down here.
I watched highlights of Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. Fever beat the team. They scored 93 points. So Chicago Sky scored 58 points. Kelsey Mitchell was making a lot of shots. When Angel Reese tried to pass the ball, shoot the ball got blocked. Indiana Fever did a good job at guarding Chicago Sky. They were making triple doubles. Chicago Sky was in trouble. They lost by so many points to the point me say, wow! A lot of Boston got a lot of points.
I guess this is what his channel is.
Hello, it's Ty Joe. It's 2:06 p.m. I'm going to show you how tall I am compared to 6 feet and other heights. The reason why I made this video is because someone said that I should mark where 6 feet is on the wall or a door and show how tall I am compared to it, because he thinks that my brother, I think is 5'11" or 6 feet. My brother said that he was 5'11", like when my brother was 23 and I was 18. He said they was 5'11" without.
Oh, they finally went live.
Hello, everybody. It's Ethan Klein, the host of the H3 show.
Well, thank you everybody that stopped in. I really do appreciate it. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will be here again on Friday for another unofficial H3 rating room. I really do appreciate everybody that stopped in. Thank you so much. And this is Captain Quasar signing off.